Hello, hello. All right. Hello, hello. Thank you, Uncle. You have a very angelic and soulful voice, and we are blessed with your gift, and we believe that God will use you more for the extension of His kingdom and also reviving your fellow friends. Okay, now my fellow co-host, she is going to excuse us. All right, as I said, my co-host will highlight the order of the program, and we will proceed the programs, all right? I think you guys are very excited and very impatient now. We will do our best to move the program smoothly too.
Okay, this is the highlight of the order of the program. Compared by Jos Tanggolal Khungsai and Lucille Hingzahat. An invocation prayer by Reverend Dr. J. Lamboy Hoikim, Director, Bethesda Kanko Institute, which will be followed by a welcome address by Pu D.P. Hoikim, IRS retired, former Chief Principal Commissioner of Income Tax, Government of India. Shortly afterwards, the seminar session will follow, which is further divided into 3 subsessions. Our esteemed resource person, Shri Parikshit Thodam, UPSC All India Rank 60, will take the initiative of guiding us throughout the first session. Shri Manoj Prabhakar, MIPS, SDPO Bishanpur, will lead us throughout the second session. There will be a special number by Pu LL Mona. And we have Ms. Ha Ching Hoi Hoikim, UPSC All India Rank 673rd, to guide us throughout the third session.
Just a reminder, what was the formula that I had gave earlier? Anyone? 3L, right? The first L? Great. Second? Okay. What about this side? The last one? Great. And also we will give, or let's say we will conduct some very exciting competitions. There will be a monetary reward, all right, based on the speech that has been delivered by the resource person. I or my co-host will sometimes raise a very simple question, all right, from the resource person's speech, and if anyone can answer that, we will give them a reward, a very exciting, attractive reward from our side. So, how are you going to achieve that reward? First, you have to follow that strategy, 3L. You have to look the speakers carefully, as if you can look through your futures, and you have to listen it well, what they speak about it. Like I said, you have to listen as if you can unlock the door of success. And lastly, try to learn something. Try to learn not to commit the same mistake or regrets that they have committed. That means you guys will be smarter than them if you can do that. What is the VIP? By the way, are we all the UPSC aspirants, or are we here because we are a learned persons, we want to learn something today? Or are you all UPSC aspirants? Okay, maybe it's a diverse student. I love it, I love diversity. But I assure you, you will learn something. See, this is a civil service seminar. When we say civil service, it's not necessarily IAS or IPS are only civil servants. All right, even if you are a banker aspirant or a banking aspirant or a banker, even if you want to become a teacher or lecturer, even if you want to become an army officer, it's still a civil servant, or let's say a civil services, because you are working for the civils, you're working for the people. All right, let us widen, or let's say let's broaden our concept and perspective about this program. Not necessarily, or let's say not, this is not exclusively for IAS or IPS. It is for all civil service aspirants. let me just give a brief introduction of myself, not just the name, so that you will know me more who I am, at the same time as my fellow friends. You might be wondering, is he our junior, is he our senior, who is this person, how can he got to it? All right, first of all, we are from the Ultimate Coaching Institute, and I myself am a UPSC aspirant, all right? Well, you might know it or might not know, a little information. I represent the state of Manipur twice in Delhi on account of the youth parliament. Recently in the parliament, I delivered a wonderful speech. There was a side information. And I personally am very excited about today's program, not because I'm going to host it, but seeing two very prominent persons, all right? I believe you guys have the same desire, or let's say why you came here, same motive and same intention. So if that's the case, we are in the same boat, okay? All right, and my fellow friends, let her also introduce a little bit of herself. By the way, I have graduated in 2019, so I might be your seniors to many of you, or I might be juniors to few of you. Thank you, that's a part of my introduction.
And I am Lucy Singh Zahat. As I already introduced myself earlier, I have done my graduation in 2015, that was a long time ago. And I have done my master's in the year 2017. That's my educational qualification.
All right, that was great questions. I don't expect to, or let's say we won't do self-introductions to everyone, that will take time. But then we will do group introductions, all right? Maybe I might not do, because I don't know the list of the schools, but I do believe that many of you are from different schools, and I see that your teachers are really caring about your career. You know what? To make a student pass the exam, it's very simple, it's very easy. I myself was the topper in Manipur University, rank 1 holder in geography. Okay, hey, wait. This is not, not trying to raise my trophy to make you old. Oh, okay, like I said, to pass the exam, to pass class 8, to pass class 12, to pass graduation is very easy. Let me tell you. You know what is tough? To be a successful person in life is tough. So this is the bridge, all right, to connect you with your futures, because you cannot see your futures. Like I said earlier, look as if you can see through your futures, all right? Remember that? So try to find something which will be important to reach your goal. That's it. That's the motive and intention of this program, all right? Passing examination is very simple, but to become a successful person in life is tough. Why? Because it needs discipline. It needs commitment, determination. Not just that, mental health, oh gosh, it's going to discourage you if I mention everything. But then, these are all a fundamental criteria. Keep in mind. Okay, I might do the whole day talking today. All right, so you have to learn something from my speech, and I will do my best to make my speech nonsense too. Okay? By the way, in case if the research persons arrive, please give us the information so that we could pay them a respect by standing. Okay, that was the information today asked us. You can just make some humor.
What?
Some jokes.
Class?
Some jokes. Okay.
Jokes.
Okay, yeah.
I'm not a good joker.
Okay. By the way, today, you know what? Try to find these answers. What makes these people different from the rest? I mean, different, not this, the research person, all right? Try to learn what makes the research persons different from the rest of the fellow candidates. What strategy do they follow? What strength do they have in them? What is their inborn nature? Or are they normally let's say, born with the divine blessings, or they have weakness, but they try to overcome it? How do they approach the difficulties and struggles that they face on the way? Try to find it from their speech, from their presentations. All right, that should be your approach of listening, looking, and learning. You cannot just sit like wimpy things with a paper and pen and write whatever you say. No, you are not a journalist, first of all. But you have to be very smart even in writings too. You cannot write everything that they have speak. You have to have the intention. What makes these people different? What strategy did they follow? What prompted them to become this person? Can I be? If I want to be, how should I be? All right, that should be your intentions of writing notes, okay? Don't try to write everything, silly things that they say. All right, those are very basic things. I know you guys have learned it, know it from your teachers. It's just a reminder. Okay.
I request everyone to please stand and rise up from your seats. You may all sit down.
All right, let us start the program officially. I and my co-hosts are very excited and ineffably honored to host this impressive program. And as I said, my name is Jos Tangola Hongsai.
And I am Lucille Hingzahat.
Well, we will highlight the program once again because our research persons had just arrived. So for their sake, we need to read out the order of the program once again, and we have to proceed the program, all right?
Okay, let me give you a highlight of the order of the program. Compare by Jos Tanggolal Pungsai and Lucy Hingzahat. An invocation prayer by Reverend Dr. J. Lamboy Hoikim, Director, Bethesda Kanhu Institute, which will be followed by a welcome address by Pu D.P. Hoikim, IRS retired, former Chief Principal Commissioner of Income Tax Government of India. Shortly afterwards, the seminar session will follow, which will be divided into 3 sessions. Our esteemed resource person, Shri Parikshit Thodam, UPSC All India Rank 60, will take the initiative of guiding us throughout the first session. Shri Manoj Prabhakar M, IPS, SDPO Bishanpur, will lead us throughout the second session. There will be a special number by Pu LL Mona, and we also have Ms. Hat Chinghoy Haukip, UPSC All India Rank 673rd, to guide us throughout the third session.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Lucy, for highlighting the program. And I want to wish a very good morning to our respected resource person and to my beloved attendees. Now, proceeding on the program, may I humbly request Reverend Dr. J. Lamboy Hoikim for the invocations. And Reverend, if it is your will, we wish you to, or we want you to pray, or let's say have a blessing prayer for the 2 successful candidates as well. All right, Uncle, please take your time.
I have been asked to pray. And before I pray, I also have been allowed to say something. And of course, pray for our resource persons today. I'm delighted to see so many of you, young people. I think the single purpose of your coming is to become an IS officer or maybe an IPS officer. I think that's true. But let me tell you, to become an IS officer is not the most important thing that we should look for, to me at least. The most important thing is you become an IS officer and do what? That's the most important thing. IAS, IPS, IRS, he may do. Pasupato nantin ahivanga hitisanga pading khatu igelo ngai na naute ho cha te ho tunin ko hin IRS heading, IPS heading, IAS heading hichakuna ipiham khat boarding ti pa to poi mon gelo te tuin ka hin khunung tiang le igamu gamzo se no ho khunai hung ki ngam ding hin na Hizi akho penan he du kan no man hi gam nga ding na hi wa hi no he hiya chu tuni khuwa civil service na than obje war na hu an han ki paum be se jing na hi a hi wangin I service ga ni ding jiang hi lowa MLA hi ding jiang hi lowa He chose to ipia man cha di ham ti I ho dinga de dia thing lang mi ho dinga I ho dinga poi mo hi gam la go patin e pi ho hi I ki hu tu mo ngai hi he chi ding ji a chu I bor zo seo hi patin ho hi han lang politics hi han lang le khasim hi zong le a poi mo pen I ho identity hi a hi ji chun tu ni ko hin Helai muna na umwa mitiem ho miting ho tu se na ngai tiang wa hi le igyal kho pen diu chu igamu igo ya identity ding a hi tuni ko hin mi hi chang zakhat hi wang wa hi phung chom na hi mai thi o hi ho bu nyong chom hi mai thi o hi cho chung poi mo be se lo hi hi cho yo se chung wu ma poi mo chu igamu igo identity hi a hi ya chu perspective pa hi na het themuwa na hin het themuwa na hin bol diu ka di ya kan se hin tin tu hin taw na ka hin man ding a hi now before I pray for the opening of our program I would like to read a verse from the Bible. I understand that we may not be followers of this book, Bible, but I think it's good to read a verse from here. The Bible says that knowledge comes from the Lord. Wisdom comes from the Lord. Once God gives you that wisdom and knowledge, then whatever comes out of you, words that you do, words that you speak, will be healing to people. There's the word of the Lord and a living word for all of us. Before I pray, I would like to request our resource persons, if you don't mind, could you please stand up? This is the sign of our acknowledgement that the knowledge we have comes from God. Therefore, we give glory and honor to the God who gives you intellect, knowledge, and skill to get this position. We also, in response to that, commit ourselves to serve God and the nation. We are proud that from Manipur, 2 of you are there to serve our nation, India. India is struggling to make ourselves nation, and it is you who are going to contribute to make the India a beautiful, colorful nation. For that, I'm going to pray for you. I'm going to pray for all of you. Please close your eyes. I'm going to pray for you all. Let's pray. God, the creator of the world, the creator of we, the human beings, the creator and giver of wisdom to these 2 friends of ours today, the maker of the world, the maker of officers, scholars, and big and great people. We thank you today for what you have done in our lives. In this tiny state, Manipur, you have raised up so many people, including our 2 friends who have stood up today, for the wisdom and knowledge that they possess comes from you alone. Therefore, we give you thanks and praise. At the same time, oh God, we have dedicated our life today to serve our nation, India. We are struggling in so many ways, even to make our identity as an Indian nation. Lord God, we need wisdom. We need boldness and courage to speak the truth. As the 2 people stood up today as the ones who have been successful to serve our nation, may you grant them wisdom. May you grant them boldness and sincerity to serve our nation. Bless them. Bless them as I speak today. May their words encourage this many of young people sitting here to become great people to serve this land and serve you. I pray and commit that entire session of today into your mighty care. You be with us, be with all of us, our thinking, reflection, encouragement, all that, Lord. We give everything into your hand. Take it and bless it for us, for your people. We pray this prayer for your glory, for the extension of your kingdom of love, and for the benefit of this many young people standing here. We pray this prayer in Jesus' name. Amen. 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 Please be seated. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, our revered pastor, for being such a great example of living a life of faith. Your messages are full of insight and truth. Now, to deliver the welcome address, please join me in welcoming Po D.P. Hoikim to allow his time to get up on the stage.
At the very outset, I would like to thank God for giving us this I welcome you all, and I welcome all the successful civil service candidates. And as we gather together here, I would also like to personally thank the two officers and family members. Before I start my welcome address, I would like to call upon the ultimate coaching centers to have a felicitation to the successful officers, persons. So I call upon Mr. Haupu and his teammates. As we are felicitating them, first of all, I would like to call upon Mr. Prakshit to come forward here on the stage. Welcome. Secondly, I call upon Ms. Ching Hoi, who stood 673 position in All India Civil Services Exam 2020. Now I call upon Mr. Sagolsem Prema, Mrs. Sagolsem Premamati, mother of Mr. Pariksit, to come forward here on the stage, and a felicitation to be done by the Ultimate Center. Last not but the least, I call upon Ms. Priya Thodam, sister of Mr. Pariksit. I would also like to call upon Mr. T.A. Somendro, father of Mr. Pariksit. Now, I would like to call upon Mr. Jamkhumang Hoikim, father of Ms. Ching Hoi. Lastly, I would like to call upon Mrs. Niam Jaling, mother of Ms. Hoikim. Yeah, we'll go ahead. Now I would like to call upon today's minister, Professor Reverend Dr. J. Lamboy, to come on the stage. Okay. Lastly, I would like to call upon my all-timer friend, Mr. L.L. Mona, who was my college mate. Till today, he's a gospel singer. He will be presenting us a special number. After some time, we'll be welcoming Mr. Manoj Prabhakar, who is IPS Sub-Divisional Police Officer, Bishanpur District. He's on the way, so we are waiting for him. Dhoni, welcome address kasi na dingahin. English inong kasi noon po in. Aja so tamzo emi na je with ay pawin say tangkatin. Kakigon na chu English sa say dikatiyahin. I have been speaking English, whether it's good or bad, for the last 35 years in my service. So now I am retired. Aja chun tu nihin ay pawin kasi nomen. Akad na welcome address sa langa kay dinga chati hitan, very junior colleague pension kahitan. Khatpa isupi pawin 60 position na mua. Chanu win 673 position na mu hi. Ipa mamawin pathini thangwa win. We praise God for their success. Personally in Kenjong, congratulations Kabalwin. I wish them all success in their career as they start their career. May God be with them throughout their career so that they get promotion after promotion. And at last, I wish them peaceful retirement. This is from my personal wishes. I want to encourage all the congregation and the youth member today from my life. I want to share my testimony. I want to encourage all of you. I am from a very, very poor family. Till I was graduated, I have only one long pant and one shoe. When I wash my long pant, I have to be inside my house. Because till my long pant gets dried, I cannot go out. Whether I go for my girlfriend or not, that is different thing. But I am certain. Like the quarantine days, I am certain. So I cannot go out. Chitabang po family ground na chungkahin. Chule, I have started my career as LDC, Lower Divisional Clerk. LDC, Chanpur Treasury Office is still remaining the same. LDC in Kanomin. That time, I was in my BF first year, final year. And I married after having 2 kids. And I got my custom inspector. I served there for some time, from LDC to custom inspector. Then I have given up that LDC job, and I tried for this civil services exam. And by the grace of God, in the year 1984, I threw the main exams, and I got into this Indian Revenue Service 1985 batch. And by the grace of God, after serving 35 years, I got promotion after promotion, and I reached to the apex scale level. So this is all because of the mercies and the love of God on my life. So I want to tell today the young gatherer who are here that if you can just take one lesson from me, you all will become definitely all officers in your life. It's you say no mahiin. In Chen Hasahin, kiboy mamay na hiwangin struggle after struggle. Na akibolin tunin kijong from nobody I become somebody because of God. Hijechun UPS 1985 interview kachiya chum Chanpur College product. I matsakay lo jikaneya BA capacity nai lo. I wanga the determination I have in my life. I have to focus on my target. I have to hit the bullseye. If you have that determination, who will hinder you from success? Exam hoy bol ma sangu igoli pai hoto iga kyo wai le itha si pai na are before fighting, before preparation, we have given up the battle. Nah, that is not fair. Tu nakatil khonom chu. Kiyong ji kanei, cha kanei. When I have 2 daughters, I used to carry them whole night. Nah, jan kho ake kapu alekha kasim chu. And during those days, the last 40 years, in the 70s, 80s, no electricity, no Xerox, no mobile phone, nothing. Only books. Lekha kisima kisuna hiin. Tuna, you have all the facilities. Na, are from A to Z, 1 to 100. Imagine, oh, si na neji wahin na tao si sa ate na ate wahin. I machana ji dolo heti tuna hi kachalen storm na hegin. Kiho khang tabang chu hile phadi wahin tuni nom na sabe seven. Why don't you come out of your comfort zone? Give up your discomplacent status. Na, tuna chu nunga khat na ya gol lang khat na ya. If you are an aspirant of civil services, I bet you and I challenge you. Tuna hi nunga kaya gulang kaya civil service tinga. If you have a mind, kalunga malap. Why I follow my friends? Why should I have WhatsApp? Why should I be in the Facebook? Nah, not required. Nadong manuham, nadong mapam. Whether your boyfriend or girlfriend text na ball sangatsu, let he or her be your enemy for the time being. Once you are successful, okay, you welcome them back. It's just ngai hen. Tuna no jan khwa kanai moduwa nagazet ho tanai moduwa jinkal 9:30 yung koy mathu do nai lo chiwa mi nung indal di wang chu impossible katino ai wanga kasi 1985 UPS first time interview ka chia chu I have nothing with me. I have the word of God, Bible words kanai chu na. Matthew chapter 6 Matthew chapter 19 verse 26 nahi ken kanai chu chia chu ipesiam. Jesus looked at them and said, with man it is impossible, but with God everything is possible. Nah, it's a Bible chang kan ki pu hi in. Ye chun IRS kan mu income tax kan join income tax group A officer apar kaung kai to win. It's what before I joined the service, I made 2 small commitments. Commitment ni kan echo khatna ju ka don lo helding. Ni na chalai khangai ho emi ho la officer ho chu numei to ju ye chun numei jong ka ve lo di katien pathen lung sen in tu ri chan ge yen pathen e pin pathen ka thang wen ye chun tu na no ko ma ka se nom chu mi khat hi ding ale be a different person. In order to become a different person and in order to make a difference in the society, mi ho nu hui nun banga hai ichi lo di ti hi ka se no men a china dingin tu na hai se lo di ka tila se di ka no men. Tu ahe 2022 lahen election in AD wahin. Many intending candidates stays up. I will do this promise, that promise. Tampita amen. Tu na kin khang thao ko makasinom online tampita all India level kan se hi tu na no khang thao ko makasinu wahin. If money is lost, nothing is lost. If health is lost, something is lost. But when character is lost, everything is lost. Yung last month I was suffering from COVID, so now I'm a COVID warrior. Kadam mo chun yes, I lost something because I lost my health na. Kata sa chawin tu nang kahajo puin. Ayla, still God is with me and I maintain my character. Tu na a character pao hi and swing election hi 1 man 1 vote. Ati sai ha lo diu nanung che pala nanu na pate tan kyo diu in sunga hi e ma would ha diu Christian khani ta chun Christian perspective ka senom chu candidate ding jong he ho bunga phai ta kai mi hi ding peng tha mi hi ding so ma khat mi pi hi ding hen hoin kai ngai ta poi so ma khat pi ngai ta poi tio hi han lo diu tu na i han khilo ale for the coming 5 years you and I we are responsible na koi ma chai ngo lo diu hen Piche election hi khang tha hon tampitan youth for change signing adu ada atewin kini chawang chukalapun nang chulakin mo pune ne pa he phate ta I bol di hati pa hi ka seino mahin ye chun he chana chun ka welcome address le ka seino hin ngatang katin ya on behalf of the Ultimate Coaching Center and all the participants of this seminar, we would like to welcome Mr. Manoj Prabhakar, who is IPS officer, and at present he is working as Sub-Divisional Police Officer of Bishanpur District. So could you kindly please stand up so that we can please give him a big applause. Yeah. And I would also like to call him upon this stage so that felicitation can be done by the group. Please come forward. Just to end my welcome address, I would also like to personally felicitate and present them a small gift from my side. So first of all, I would like to call all the 3 officers to come forward here. All the 3 officers, please come forward here.
Thank you so much, Pu DP Hoikim, IRS retired, and Sarhopu, the Ultimate Coaching Institute, the proprietor, for the ecstatic welcoming speech and the beautiful souvenir that you have presented to our respected resource person. Well, for the extra information, this particular program is in live stream, which is conducted or which is under the initiative of the Hoikim Media, and the title will be The Journey Towards Civil Service. If you want, you can check in YouTube, or you can check it later, all right? And proceeding to the next program, let me remind you all again, you have to use the 3L formula, all right? Okay, my friend, there is a saying, please keep in mind. It goes like this: the experts in anything were once a beginner. And now the questions arise. What do we mean by experts? Well, in our context, expert refers to someone who knows what not to do in words, deeds, or action. All right? Who knows what not to do. Okay. And you might even ask yourself, then those experts, what makes them different? All right? That will be your first questions again after hearing their answers. Well, to nimbly or to easily answer that questions with great anticipations, I invite Sri Parikshit Thodam, UPC Old India Rank 60, to take this podium. Sir, the stage is yours.
Hello. First of all, a very good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to thank Ultimate Coaching for organizing such a function, and especially Dr. Lien Hoikim and also Haching Koi, my colleague, for inviting me here. It is really a pleasure to give such a speech where there is so many people ready to listen to you. Frankly, it hasn't been quite it has been very recent that I've gotten this opportunity to talk like this, and there are so many people willing to listen. The day is not, it is not a long time ago that I was sitting somewhere around here. I mean, I was also an audience listening to such speeches. So I think the bottom line is that if you work, if you have some aspiration, some goal that you have set in mind, and if you continue to work for it, small steps every day, I think you eventually end up where you want to be. So today in this small speech, I will not be taking much time, but I will focus on two things. First is, I will try to just pass on some messages, which social messages, which I tried using during my preparation. And secondly, I'll also discuss a little on strategy, on how I studied, how I approached the exam. And lastly, I'll open the floor to discussions. If anybody wants to raise any questions or queries, I'll be willing to answer them. So let's talk about some, in colloquial terms, we call gyan, like the gyan ki batein. I'll just talk some principles which I had in mind whenever I faced situations of trials and tribulations, whenever I faced challenges. These are some small principles which I always reminded myself of. So 15, the All India rank 1, Anudeep Duri Shetty, in one of his talks, I used to watch a lot of toppers talks while preparing. So he was giving this speech and he says that it is always good to have a big goal in life. We all should be ambitious. But the point is that if you are always keeping that goal, that larger picture in mind, it might become a little too challenging. It might become a little too daunting to really go for that goal. So what he says is that you should try breaking down that journey into small steps. You take one small step every day. So for instance, I'll just relate it with UPSC. The UPSC exam, civil services exam, as we know, has a very huge syllabus. Okay. Now, if you think of studying everything all at once, it becomes very challenging. However, if you focus your concentration, your entire devotion to just one chapter which you are studying right now, just one particular subject, then things becomes much easier. And as you progress, it's quite sometimes surprising that you end up covering so much of content by the end of 1 month, or maybe by the end of 1 year. You virtually complete the entire syllabus. So that was one takeaway from that particular talk. That is, have a larger goal in life. However, break it down into small steps and work every day. Take those small steps and you will eventually land up where you want to be. Second is from MS Dhoni. So MS Dhoni, when he was the Indian cricket team captain, he was asked, how does he manage all that stress while he is playing in the field? So he says that I try to control what is controllable and care less about stuffs which is beyond his control. So that is also one thing which I try to imbibe. Whenever you face challenges, whenever I face challenges or will be facing challenges in the future, one thing I would like to keep in my mind is that I will just focus on whatever I can control, what is in my hands, what I can improve on, what I can change, and care less for stuffs which is beyond our control. Otherwise, it's pointlessly going to take up your mind and will affect your productivity and your competence to some extent. So this is the second message. Third, always try to improve every day. For every action, for every step that you take, see if it is going to have some qualitative impact on your life, if it is going to make you a better person. And so this correlates with the first message which I passed on, which is about taking small steps. Just see that, try to improve every day. Do something wherein you enhance your knowledge, where you enhance your ability, may it be in sports, in curricular activities, co-curricular, in community activities, whatever be it. But just keep on improving your skill set. I think that is another key area which we should work on. And then the fourth point is, this is especially more concerned with people who are in their school days or in their college life. that apart from the actual book, apart from the syllabus that we study as being a student, I think it is also very important that we take part in curricular and extracurricular activities. We often, at least in the Northeast or in Manipur, I can see that people do not have much of an interest in curricular and extracurricular activities, but these are very, very important for developing your overall personality. So I think a lot of focus has to be there. And also right now there are so many different youth organizations like the National Service Scheme or the Bharat Scouts and Guides, to name a few, or the National Cadet Corps. I think you should participate in all these community-led youth organizations. Try to develop their leadership qualities, and believe me, this will help you in your career, in whatever job and whatever career option that you choose to be a part of. And lastly, I think it is very important that we pay attention, pay heed to what our parents and teachers say. And also all these intellectuals who come and give such speeches, I think they have seen life a little more than us. They have experiences which is much more than us. So I think it is very important that we listen to what they say, and they would never say anything which is bad for us. They would always give us some input which will help us become a better person. So I think that is the fifth point that I would like to make. So these are some points which I wanted to cover. Now, coming to civil services, just as how Reverend Dr. J. Lamboy Hoikim also mentioned, that civil services is not the only job in the world. There are so many different options in the world. There are so many job opportunities. But why do we focus so much on civil services then? I think some points which I can think of is that, number one, civil servants are bestowed with so much of responsibility, and there's a lot of aspirations, and it has a huge role to play in the governance and the development of the country as a whole. So that is one thing. Second, I think, which is more important, is that there is a lot of lack of participation from the Northeast as far as bureaucracy in the civil services is concerned. So there's a lot of lack of representation. So that is one key area. That is why we focus so much on ensuring that people from this area also participate. And the third point being, we have the potential. Northeasterners also have the potential. Nowadays, there is no issue. The deprivation of being situated in a remote area is reduced to a certain extent. Why? Because there has been penetration of information technology, internet. So I agree, there are infrastructural issues. But it is not that we cannot compete with the people which is maybe in the metropolitan part of the country. So I think we need to somehow break that mental block that we may have developed over a period of years and focus on improving ourselves and participating in all these competitive exams. So I think that is few reasons why we focus a lot on, and that is why we also organize such functions, because we want to show that if I can clear this exam, then obviously there may be many, many more sitting amongst us who will be listening us through online mode, who can also clear this exam or other competitive exams to say. So I think that is, these are some points that I wanted to cover. Now I'll come to strategy. I'll quickly touch up on the strategy. See, strategy, my journey has been 3 years long, and I've done so many ifs and buts, and there have been so many mix and matches. So it is very difficult for me to somehow summarize that 3 years of experience into one particular speech. However, I have jotted down some points. I will mention few of them, and if I have missed on any queries which you want, even after this strategy discussion, you can always raise those queries to me. First, there is nothing, we should always try to give one attempt, and that has to be a serious attempt. It is not like this time I will just see how the prelims goes, let's see how the mains goes. No, that should not be the attitude. You should go all in once. It should not be that you just want to see how the exam is. I think that is a very wrong approach. Take one attempt, take a serious attempt, that's it. Just forget the rest. I think that is one key area which a general overview. Now, as far as prelims and mains is concerned, first is that look at the syllabus. The syllabus itself says general studies. So you need to have general awareness. So right now, I'm sure people must be aware of all the static books, the reference books that we usually refer to study. So if we divide the syllabus into two parts, which is static syllabus, which will remain unchanged for quite some time, like say Indian polity, modern history, Indian geography, world geography. So these are relatively static component, and the other one is current affairs, which is pretty dynamic. So if first you need to cover static portion very well. You need to be clear of your foundation of how the governance works, of how the different concepts of economics, different concepts of geography. You need to be very well versed with that. Now once you are very well versed with all these concepts, it will be very easy for you to read current affairs. Say for instance, if there's anybody who is starting up their preparation right now, if you open the newspaper, you might find it a little difficult to understand what is being written because your concepts are not clear. But once you've completed the static component very well, the newspaper becomes very easy and becomes very enjoyable. In sort of way, you begin interacting with the newspaper itself. So that level of preparation is required. That is the foundational stage. And this understanding is important for both prelims as well as mains. Because in prelims also, obviously there will be some questions which is factual. I'm sure many of you must have attempted the 2020 prelims, and we see that there are certain, so for instance, this time if I remember correctly, the polity questions and the economy related questions were quite easy, and they were conceptual also. But then there were a few bouncer questions like say related to sports and awards, which is usually something which the UPSC never asks. But UPSC is known for surprises, so you should be ready for such surprises. And believe me, those topics would have been missed by majority of aspirants. So if you are not able to answer those questions, chill, just relax, and just don't panic during the exam hall. See, if you are a serious aspirant, you would have been preparing very well for at least a year. And in that course of duration, you must have covered a lot. And if you are not able to answer a question, then 90 to 95% of those people who are sitting in the exam hall will not be able to answer that question. They would be also facing the same challenge, same panic, just as how you are facing. So ultimately, it's a game of confidence. What level of confidence you are able to show in the exam hall. So that is one thing. Now, more specifically about prelims, I'll discuss a few strategies which I used. I solved a lot of test series. Test series is absolutely must for in my case. And just this quick disclaimer, there are so many toppers talk available out in the internet. You can listen to those, you can do mix and match. Just don't follow my strategy entirely. You can listen to other toppers' strategy as well, and then you can somehow carve out your own niche and prepare a strategy accordingly. And also, please keep in mind your background, how your studies have been so far. I am a student of biology. I've completed my master's in biology. So it is relatively easy for me to attempt science and technology related questions. I did not focus much on that aspect. So please bear in mind your background also while deciding your strategy. So yes, coming back to prelims, I focused a lot on test series. Test series also helps you gauge your performance as to how well you are able to understand the syllabus. For instance, I might have completed, say, reading modern history from Spectrum, but you don't know how clear you know those concepts. But once you start solving these tests, you realize how much you know and how much you don't know, how much concepts you lack, all that gaps during preparation you can start to see, number one. Number two, solving test series also helps you keep on track. You know, you have some goal-oriented activity. For instance, if I say that today in 5 o'clock I will somehow start my test, then you need to finish the syllabus for that test before 5 o'clock. So it helps you keep on track. And the best part is test series are all free. You can go to internet, you can go to any shop, any bookstore. You can see that these tests are available at dirt cheap prices. You do not have to pay fees, exorbitant fees for these tests. Yes, but you need to have your own self-discipline because you'll be taking that down in your room and you'll be solving that on your own. So that is one self-discipline that you need to inculcate. Otherwise, other things are taken care of. Also, newspaper has been a very important source of information both for prelims and mains. I always read, regardless of reading other current affairs booklets, I always focused a lot on newspapers. I read it every day, and it also helps you expand your horizon as to how things are developing around the world, around your society, in the country, so on and so forth. So I think newspaper, and this general understanding is also very important when you are solving tests. When you are actually solving the actual paper in the exam. There will be certain questions which may not need certain domain expertise, but a small common sense can also answer such questions. So you need to be able to solve such questions. For that, you need a general understanding of the world around you. Okay, and also while reading, try to ask questions, try to make it interactive. Don't focus on rote learning, because that is not going to help you. Try to understand what the book is trying to tell you, what that topic is trying to tell you. Interact, ask yourself questions like what, when, how, when, where. Ask yourself such questions and try to understand what is being written. And also you can discuss what all you have studied to a particular friend or a companion, and that also helps you improve your knowledge further. So that really helps. Now that is all about prelims. I can always take more specific questions if there are any. Then regarding mains. Mains, see, UPSC, I will be more focused on UPSC because that is what today's theme is. So in UPSC, answer writing. In the mains exam, we are expected to write 3 hours paper, 2 each day for 3 to 4 consecutive days. So that is a huge challenge. I come from a science background. I belong to a college where for writing just one line, I get 10 marks. But that is the exact opposite in UPSC. I have to write 2 pages, 3 pages for a 10 mark, 15 marks paper. So even I did not have the skill set to write a mains exam. So I required a lot of practice. For those who have come with humanities background, might be little help, maybe little, they might find it a little easier perhaps because they know how to write such answers. But for me, it was a completely new challenge. So I had to practice. Now that is where answer writing becomes very important. In all these stages, prelims and mains, what is important is what you do in that 2 hours for prelims and in that 3 hours for mains. Regardless of how much of effort you have put in, if you are not able to perform in that 2 to 3 hours, then you cannot clear this exam. So that we need to keep in mind. For this, we need practice. Practice, practice, practice. Now, answer writing, what we do is, I basically divide it into 2 parts. First is developing the skill to write good answers, number 1. And the second part is developing the ability to complete the paper. So these are 2 different things in my opinion. First, for the ability to be able to write good answers, what you can do is take 1-2 questions in a day, start writing. Take a sample answer. So there are so many, similarly for mains as well, you get test series solutions available in the market. Take it out, keep it beside you and start writing the answer. Once you've attempted the question, look at what the toppers copy say. Look at how the solutions as per the coaching institutes, how they have written. Now you can analyze. So this is the phase where you can correct yourself. When you're attempting the question, if you feel that you need certain areas, there's certain lacuna or there's certain skill set which you still require, try to improve. So that is that phase. So if you are making the same mistakes and if you are practicing the same mistakes again and again, then there is no point. There has to be some improvement. So do like this for 1-2 months. Try to develop this skill of writing good answers. Once you have developed the ability to write good answers, then move on to completing the paper on time, because you need to answer. For general studies, there are around 20 questions. You need to complete those 20 questions in 3 hours. So now you can move on to the next phase, which is once you have garnered the ability to write good answers, try to develop the ability to start completing the answers on time, writing fast, legibly at the same time. So these are a few skill sets which you can try to improve. And yes, try to incorporate, as all toppers also say, try to incorporate as much as maps, diagrams as possible while you are writing the mains answer. It always helps. Then again, a general point, both for mains and prelims as well as for the personality test, it is always important for you to revise. Like I mentioned earlier, the important thing is that you perform during that in the exam hall. Now, to be able to perform well in the exam hall, you should be able to recollect what you have studied. But mind you, you'll be reading a lot. So it may be difficult for you to recollect all those all in once. Now, how do you gain that ability? By revising. By revising again and again. Try to keep your sources as limited as possible and revise those sources again and again. For instance, if you are reading one particular current affairs booklet, read that judiciously, read it in and out, read it well. And there might be some topics which that current affair booklet or the static reference book that you're referring to might not have covered. And if you notice any such topics, just write it down in that, take a sticky note, paste it there. Just don't go for multiple sources because it is very difficult to revise. So what is the point if you're reading 3-4 sources and you are not remembering anything? Then what is better is take one source, repeatedly revise it, and consolidate any other additional information which might have been missed out in that particular source that you're referring to. So I think these are some ideas that I wanted to focus on. And for as far as personality test is concerned, I think a general ability to convey your ideas and thoughts, maintaining respect and reverence to whomever you are speaking to, not being arrogant, being very clear and rational with your approach. When you are posed with a problem, they might give you some problem, some societal problem, and they might ask some solutions for you. Now they do not expect a very full-fledged, ekdam perfect solution from you, but what they want to see is whether your approach is rational, is there some logic to it, does it justify the four corners of the constitution. So these are some aspects that they will look at. So and yes, please do not be dishonest, don't try to create a false personality of yourself when you go in the personality test. So I think if you take care of some of these areas, I think you will also fare well in the personality test. Now, these are some of the strategies I wanted to discuss. I'd just like to touch upon the spiritual aspect of writing the UPSC exam. So UPSC is a long journey, and it does have some impact, especially when we are not able to do well during a test or maybe in the exam itself sometimes. It poses a lot of challenge to us. We need a lot of mental strength, and that is where our familial support, our family, your teachers, your peers, and most importantly, your God, whichever God you believe in, comes to rescue. So that aspect of spirituality also comes in. So it is always good to have that spiritual bent of mind, so when you are able to face these challenges a little better. And also, I'd just like to quickly mention some great freedom fighters, like say Mahatma Gandhi. He told that service to humanity is service to God. So I think the larger aim in life is that we are able to serve the public, serve the humanity, and in doing so, we'll also serve the Lord. So I think with these few words, I'll wind up, and if there's any question, take them. Thank you.
Hello.
So please remain standing.
Thank you so much, sir, for the invaluable words of guidance and advice.
Yes, sir. We have received some interesting questions, and we will be also expecting some questions from the audience in case if you have. All right. Meanwhile, while you are preparing for questions, I received some questions from the audience, which I would love to let Sri Parikshit hold down to answer for all of us. All right, the first question is, as a civil servant, what do you think is the most important element that our present society needs? I think society as a state Manipur. All right.
I think, I am too young to answer this question because I do not have any field experience. But as far as my understanding in the civil services is concerned, I think the most important thing is accessibility to the public, because what usually happens is that being a civil servant, you are cornered with so much of responsibility all in once, and there's so much of workload. So it becomes difficult for us to meet the public and really listen to the grievances of the public. So that is one key area, that the accessibility to the public should always remain. And also another thing is that, the civil services that we have inherited is something which the Britishers have left for us. And there is some aspect of colonial legacy in the bureaucracy as well. So that needs to be broken off somewhere. And, reaching out to public is, I think, one key area I think all civil servants must really work for.
All right. Thank you so much for the lucid answers. And in case, like I said, if any audience are preparing for questions, please take the privilege. We will be very happy and honored. And ushers.
Maybe I think you can let them complete the talk, and then we can take the questions together. That is also fine.
I think we are preparing for person. Okay. Yes, ushers, in case if the audience are trying to take the privilege to ask questions, please get the mic ready for them.
Hello, sir. My name is Lalcha, and many congratulations to you. you've made 2 attempts and 2 successes, which is quite rare.
3 attempts.
3 attempts,
This
okay.
is my 3rd attempt.
Okay. And your success has been like quite rare in the soil of Manipur. And my question to you is it's regarding ethics. Personally, I have read lexicon, and then I am like trying to make notes on that particular book. So, like, what is your strategy on this paper, ethics in particular?
So ethics, sorry to disappoint you, but I tried reading lexicon. I did not like that book at all. So I left it and I moved on to some other notes. But if you have started reading lexicon and if you're liking it, please continue. Do not change just because I said it so. Okay, if you're enjoying it, please continue with it. Now, for ethics, what I did is that there are keywords. Just look, you can please have a seat. Please sit down. So look at the syllabus. There are keywords in the question, in the syllabus. Just try to prepare notes for each and every word. I mean it when I say word, each word. Each word in the syllabus. Make notes out of it because questions will revolve around those keywords. So just prepare at least a one note on each of these topics. That will help you a lot when you're answering questions. Also, in ethics, if you think about it, there are certain dimensions which you can always think of. If you look at the syllabus of ethics, you can see that there is some aspect of public administration, there is some aspect of philosophy, and there is also some aspect of psychology. So there are 3 areas which that syllabus discusses. So whenever you're out of words and you don't know how to approach a question, start thinking like if a student of PubAd might have attempted this question, how he or she might have approached, and so on and so forth for the remaining 2 categories like psychology and philosophy. So this is the broad area wherein you can divide ethics into. That is one case, one point. The second is that I picked up a few test series which I mentioned in my speech also. I picked up a few test series of mains for ethics for certain institutes, and I read, so it must be around almost, if I remember, it must be around close to 80 to 100 questions, okay? So 80 to 100 questions, there are questions and answers. So you read the question, try to formulate your own answer, and see what the solution says. See if your answer is better than the one which is mentioned in the solution, or vice versa, and look for improvement. How you could have improved. So this is one exercise that you can also do. Third is, once you are well versed with the concepts of ethics. See, ethics is little dicey if you have not prepared well. See, there are so many thinkers, there are so many philosophers, and they have given so much of contribution to ethics. So you need to be aware of what kind of theories that they have propounded and what kind of importance each ethical theory has. So that clarity has to be there. And you need to be able to utilize these theories as and when you're writing your answers. Also, once you're well versed with these theories, when you read any live situations of any political, social, economic issues, you can correlate these ideas of ethical theories and apply it there. And then you can take out these examples and use these as an examples to justify your answer whenever you want to quote some examples. We talk a lot about writing examples, right, during the exam. So if you want to quote these examples, you would be able to take out these examples from the current affair booklets that you're reading or newspapers that you're reading. So I think these are some areas I think which I worked. And the most important one is that making short notes for each of that keywords, each words in the ethics paper. It might become challenging all at once, but if you do one topic in one day, do this for 2-3 months, your ethics syllabus is over by then. I hope it answers your question.
So sir, you say that you're not reading this lexicon book.
I cannot hear you clearly.
Okay, so you say that you're not reading this lexicon book, right? Yeah. Okay, so like, which book are you reading, or are you using like coaching notes?
See, I am not sponsoring any group, but I read the Orient IAS. It's freely available. You don't need to pay for it. It's freely available in the market. Orient IAS, Atul Garg. I used it because the book is structured in the same way as the UPSC syllabus. So
right.
That is why I took. And right now I see that there are many other books as well in the market. But now that you've read lexicon, just think twice before you change your source, because you've already put in so much of effort with that book. But if you think that your knowledge is not clear even after reading that book, then if you have time, if you're attempting this mains this year, then I will highly not recommend that you change your source. But in case you're attempting the 2022 paper, then perhaps you can think of taking up a new source.
Thank you, sir.
Hello.
Hello, yes. Thank you so much, Lalcha, for the wonderful questions. I think we have to limit the question as of now, but the real interactive sessions will be done after the last seminar, all right, session. So thank you so much, sir. And we will proceed on the next item. All right. I have once read a very beautiful quote, and it goes like this: words make you think a thought, all right? And music makes you feel a feeling, but a song makes you feel a thought. With due respect, may I give the special number to Pu Elel Muna to make us feel a thought what our Sri Parikshit Thodam have speak about. All right, Uncle, the podium is yours. All right, while he is preparing, let me just give one information, very wonderful word. You know, as our resource person has said, they have spent like 8 to 10 hours for like 3-4 years in studying, all right? Not just a day, but like 3 years. Now we are going to sit only like 4 hours, 3 hours. So try to learn what kind of disciplines they've been through. This is just a small practice, all right? Okay, Uncle, the time is yours.
I would like to sing a song that is about 300 years old song. 300 years old. Amazing grace. How sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. The writer was a very, very, very bad man. The writer, John Newton. Very bad. He was selling human body, human, to for slaves. But he met Jesus Christ and his life was changed. And he became a real Christian, and his changed life make this song as his testimony. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. Amazing grace, oh how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious deed that grace appeared. The hour I first believed. Through many ventured toils and snares, I have already come. 'Tis grace had brought me safe thus far, and grace Thank you.
Thank you, Puel El Muna, for enlightening us with. May the Almighty continue to use your voice. May the Almighty continue to use your voice to minister the hearts of the people. As we have come to our second session, without any further ado, let's dive right into it. Now, may I have the honor of welcoming Shri Manoj Prabhakar M, IPS SDPO, Bishanpur, onto the stage.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Manoj Prabhakar. I'm from Tamil Nadu. Someone asked me what happens once we clear exam, once we get in service. It really takes us to places. So I'm here from, someone coming from Tamil Nadu, I'm working here in Manipur. It really takes you places. And I want to know how many school kids are here. School children? What is the crowd like? You have aspirants and school kids?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And okay. I think it will be pertinent for these two people, the recent achievers, to talk to the aspirants who are preparing now. My focus will be on the school kids. Because someone needs to motivate them. Once you people clear, who will be there to prepare for exams? My talk will be focused, I will focus mainly on those people. You people should probably forgive me. So, if you want to do something, there should be some basic questions. Why do you want to do that? If I ask someone to take this pen case from this dash, so someone will ask question, why should I do this? Have you ever thought the why question for appearing in civil services? Why? Why should I become a civil servant? That should be your motivation. I will tell a story which was my why factor. Why should I become civil servant? If someone asks me, I will tell this story. I was in class 5 or class 6. There is a big shopping mall in Chennai. For the first time, my father took me there. And I was in a fancy jeans shirt. We went in our bike. And there was another person, another kid of my same age. He must be of 10 or 12 years old. I was 10 years old by then. This person was selling the popcorns in the road in the same mall where I was enjoying everything, but that kid, that person, that boy didn't have anything. That day I asked my father, Dad, why am I like this and why that person is like this? Then my father told me, this is how the society is. There are society is always not equal. It's not equal always. Then I asked him, what should I make? What should I do to make it equal or to create opportunities for the people who are not doing well? He said, you have to get into the system. Then I asked him, how should I get into the system? And from there it started. He told me, you have to become an officer, civil servant. That was my motivation. So find your why question. Why do you want to get into the system? Because what makes you, if I ask Parikshit, what made you write this exam? Why do you want a civil servant? It's same for you also. You can tell. Why did you want to become a civil servant?
I think the larger goal was that to serve the public and be a part of the government machine.
Okay, to serve the public. Yours? Okay. Okay, she wanted to be the part of the decision-making system so that she can do good to the society. I asked the same question to another gathering a few years back, and one young gentleman, he woke up and said, he was like, if I get into service, I can marry a rich girl. The objectives vary, but the target is same. The objectives vary, the target is same. But that person will never clear, the person who told that silly reason, that silly factor, he will never get into service. That's a different thing. But these people have noble causes. And we have to think about it. Why do you want to get into service? We must have a solid reason. That reason will act as a fuel for us. That reason will act as a fuel for us. And next we'll come to the kids here. How many of you want to become an IAS or IPS officer? One, two. What do you think an IAS or IPS officer can do? From your side, what do you think an IAS or IPS officer can do? Why do you guys want to prepare for exams? The one in black check shirt, you were asking too many questions. Doubts. Why do you want to become an officer? Change. Yes. So everyone who wants to become, this exam is not an easy thing. It's not like your school exam or college exam where you just go appear, pass, you get a graduation and come back. It is not like that. It is like a penance. It's like a penance. Parashik told he has spent around 3 years. In third attempt he cleared. My story is I cleared in my 5th attempt. In the first 4 attempts I couldn't even clear my prelims. 5th attempt I cleared prelims. I got into service. But we have to believe in ourselves. That belief will come only when you have a strong motivating factor. Strong motivating factor, what do you want to do? Why you want to give this exam? This is a why question. And next is how. How are you going to clear it? These people here, Parikshit and Hatching Boy, I remember second name, first name I forgot, Hatching Boy, they will tell the exam preparation strategies and other factors. What I'm going to talk to you about now is time management. There will be someone, working professionals will be here. There are full-time preparations people will be there. Students are here. Time management is the most essential skill for this exam preparation. We have 24 hours in a day, divided into 3 parts. Devote 8 hours for your exam preparation for this. 8 hours for your sleep. Remaining 8 hours, if you are working, devote the 8 hours for your work, for your job, or if you are free, if you are into full-time preparation, you can also use that 8 hours for your sports activities, working out in gym, talking with friends. Keep yourself grounded, but make the time management efficient. Do efficient time management. At minimum 8 hours, people have to study every day, because this exam needs that kind of thinking. Many might be thinking, I am from a remote place. How can I go? There is people from Delhi, people from Mumbai, people from Chennai, the metropolitan cities, they can clear easily. I am from a very remote place. How can I clear? You cannot say that reason anymore. With the internet, every other place has become very small. All the material which Parikshit was talking about now, it's available in your mobile phone. You can download it from your different websites online. The exam preparation has become democratized now. Anyone from any place of this country, even from a remote place, people can clear. Your poverty or your financial situation or your geographical location is never a roadblock in achieving your dream. Because when a person gets into civil service, when a person becomes an IAS or IPS, it's not only about that particular individual. When Hatching Boy clears, I think she is the first cookie lady to clear. No. After a long gap. So it's not Hatching Boy's success, it is success of the whole community, the success of the whole society. When the 6 Manipuri people they cleared this year, it is not only about their personal success, it was the success of the whole state. When someone becomes an IAS or IPS officer or an IRS officer, it's not only about that particular generation, future generation. Everyone from now on will know Parikshit's family as an IAS family. Collector ka family hai. IRS officer ka family hai, IPS officer ka family hai. That's how people will start recognize your family. That's how the society will start respecting you. There is not much difference between people sitting in other side of the stage and this side of the stage. We cleared some years earlier. I cleared some 3 years earlier, they cleared now, and you people will clear next year. And these young kids will clear after 5 or 6 years. It's just a time duration question. But everyone can clear this exam. Just focus on your strength, believe. This is like how you believe in God, believe in yourself, believe in your own efforts. That efforts will push you in achieving your goals. And never let the motivation down. Like a good boxer, always keep your guard on. Come whatever, you stand strong, stand tall, and achieve your goal. This is what I wanted to tell. And life after getting into service, it will be a very different thing. After watching, we might have seen in movies, we might have seen officers going here and there in cars, fancy cars, but it's more of responsibilities. It's more of responsibilities. Get ready for that responsibilities, and with that responsibility, you can really create an environment, you can really change the situation, you can really make life for your fellow citizens, for your fellow human beings, more prosperous and more happier. Stay strong, stay motivated, never lose hope in yourself. Have good confidence. All the best. Thank you.
So thank you so much for the beautiful sessions. We are immensely grateful, and there are tremendous amount to be inspired by the stories that you have mentioned. And we wish you from the core of our heart the best in your future endeavors. All right. Coming to the next, or proceeding to the next items.
We will begin with the third session right away. Our next resource person is someone who has been a source of inspiration to us, particularly women, who, because of her accomplishments, have changed the future outlook of women in our society. She is none other than Ms. Hatching-Hoy Hoikim. Please join me in welcoming her on the stage.
First of all, respected P. Hoikim, Sri Pariksit Thaudam, Sri Manoj Prabhakaran, and everyone in front of me, good morning. And first, I would like to thank Ultimate Coaching Institute for organizing such a wonderful interaction program. And I beg pardon from Pariksit so that I can speak in my own mother language. Okay, thank you. Pariksit has already speak in length about the strategy regarding the UPSC, and he knows more than me. And Sri Manoj Prabhakaran also speak a lot about inspiration. So I'll try to touch other area which both of them didn't touch about. Tunya kahinsay amati niya tamzoy hinsay tan. Kasi sang hin acay nale question answer zo ihabol yawan kaday sa ahin. Aji chu nahon nehet numutam taumin nahon nehet num lamuken kahet lauzang tam taum de za chu. Kasi sang hin question answer hoy sa niki prepare ovin lang. Tua speech kan chay phat le na do num zo siu chu laya kom dana ka do ka answer de hi ji chun question na nei zo siu chu niki prepare ovin lang. Izo atin inan saitaan hipiza UPSC ki prepare di hamatin na. UPSC na ki prepare na diwin inspiration tam ta nan piwin. Hinjang le ken tua ka sai di hele. Ipizia UPSC na ji lau diw ham na. Hiji chu insane ka tin. Aji chu ke ang hi tu kuma hi 5th attempt UPSC tu kuma kong lol hin a hin. Ka ki gut pan na hi 2015 na ko na ka ki gum panin. Tu ningko machu 5th attempt hin 5th attempt hi 673 rank kamuin atam zo hin imu hi hile mi hi alol hing zo pha le hin a fame ti de ham elo le chon athanup na elo le anup nai movin hi jang le chon behind that success EPP struggle bolam elo le EPP itidana panla na nei ham ti hi atam zon in ignore jiwin hi chu ke man in the 5-year journey katu ho junior khat ka highlight no mahin a first pena ipca UPSC koi ho hin elo le pisa UPSC ki prepare lo de hamiti le UPSC ji inge ti le alhom pena chu kumni be lekha na simngap lo le chon ji ngai lo aji chu nong ki got na dinga kum khat hung lot ding exam process prelim mains interview nan ji na de wa jang ko kum khat lot de hin first attempt namu ta jang le chon minimum 2 years lo de hi minimum 2 years to minimum hi na lain na e hola hi khatlani wang first attempt second attempt in amuin hi jang le atam zo hi third attempt fourth attempt amungan chang hi in cha chu kumni chu alhom thei pana kumni sim lekha sim te te ngai hi in hi chi kumni kumthum ke adinga wang kumnga hi in kumnga hi you have to sacrifice a lot of things. You have to give your full hard work. Na family gathering hengang loila pai to ki mutu hoila ka va do chi ho zo si sacrifice ngai hian. Hi chu sacrifice dia na ready lo le chun UPSC chu amu ha de hian. Aji chu e ho bo se hi kigung a hi povin competition hi all India level hian. I competitor hovin khulanga gunchuta panlai ta e hon hilaya program zo sia chiu le chun say lawa hiat sai hian ja chu a second na tu you have to sacrifice a lot na abana athat na ka sei do num choi hi le atam zo hin UPSC hi I pass le IS IPS bo se hi service o mini ge lovin UPSC CSC nu ya hi service tam ta hian around 20 service hian ke jang hi IS IPS o hi kamu lo te hin anui langa ho kamu te hin chia to hi chi mindset na ho chu iki gut masangwa hi chi ho what require iti UPSC mu na dinga chu EPP I bol ngai wam elo le chun well informed decision ila na diwa chu chi chu kan sei do hi in aba nai hi UPSC journey ke ma journey elo le tua ahung ki gung de tam ta hon UPSC nong ki gun phat la na tu deu tam ta omen hi chi ho chu le khat choi le failure na failure is part of this UPSC journey a hi in ke jang kunga ka ki go sung hin ka fail ka pass na sanga ka fail na tam zo a hi in fail hi ka thip mo mong ki go hi ta na last lang a chon prelim kumni ka fail in akum thum 9 prelim ka pass in mains ka fail kenin aban kenin prelim ka pass in mains ka fail in interview ka fail kenin achai na a tu kuma hi ana ana interview chan kong lo hin hin hele ahung ki gong ding hon he diu hi hele hi chia nong ki go dile failure is part of this process failure thu dan he ngai a hi in ningkum hovel chun ningkum min jang chun interview in kana khilhain hi chi ka sei lo na pe ne hi le failure hi asia hi po in na UPSC zone nia chu na fiela hilaya chun na kinga dan di hile wang chun atil si but tunin na fiel jang le chun you have to get up with full energy na ning kuma chu UPSC ka fiel chung chun UPSC interview chan kalhuna ka fiel chung chun ke jang kana give up nomen kum lizen ki jita a interview jan ke lungta a tua interview za fiel kit dikatile kana give up nomen hi jang le hi chi interview ka fiel chunga loila ka loi ho khan in ko la tua hi chi chan na thun le na give up te lo di tia in motivate na hi chi interview result failure zawa kong ki tha pat na kan tha ji ja tu chunga hi lai mona ding thei ka hi cha a failure to it's part of the process abana failure na fail jang le it's okay jang le what is more important is na fail zo phala tha be a with full energy na ki tha pat do de chu chi chu hi a second na choi hi le UPSC ken ka ha focus le UPSC hung ki kung ti alo la ki kung jing ho hin a second na choi le hin UPSC nong ki gut sunguwa hin demotivation stress ti ho hi hung jing te hin na exam khu agam la lawang ko pon exam ahung nei chana hi stress demotivation ka mu zo dinam ke ya hin nam ti ho hi part a hi hi chia dinga ka dei sa choi hi le first friends support na very strong friend circle angai cha mama jingin aji chu zo aka se kum khat process a hi ja chu thakat ta phang chu gun chu ta na pang mei the but next ni ne thum na sim zo pha le next a so na thasi de the a hi che pha le na support jing ding na hin kai jing ding chu loi le pai hi ja chu it is very good to have a strong friend circle strong study partner abana hi che to chunga chu family support chang ngai jingin aji chu ilung ilha sam ilung neu ni la hin inu le pa mama iu le naw mama hin e ta sa pen e support e ja chu loi le pai friend support angai yin hi chi na ki go sunga hi lung neu na elo le hi chia demotivation stress pa la hin it's always good to surround yourself with good people na nang man hin support jing na hin motivate jing ho to ko manong de chu dei sa a hi in chi ho ta bang om pha le hin e ho tua YouTube ma jang topper talks of men cho jang na vet thei wa hi in tua select sa ho tong na ki housing thei u am ho to ni ki connect jing thei wa hi in hi chi adinga e hon atam ta in na ignore jiu hi mental health a hi in I mental health u jang hi ignore lo jiu win ka dei sa in you need to be both physically and mentally sound a hi ngai in hi chi exam sunga hi athat na zowa zowa nang neu khat a hin min phain physical health jang ngai cha ma jingin ne ki go sunga hi kum khat process a hi ja a chu ni khat pungka li na sim le chun you might read for 1 month 2 month hi jang kum hlunga na sim zo lo te hin aki ka anong ta mole na le kha sim zo si chu we sa hi in exam di content hung da mole chun itabangin preparation hoi nei jang la chung ka na lo hi in a important pen ku 10-15 days before the exam ko revision ading important pen hi ja chu physical health aki gung de zo sin na physical health jang hoi selan na focus jinguwa diet hengang hi jang le ima zo si hoi na focus jo ka dei sain aji chu ke jang ka ke go til kunga hin first second chan hover chu hi chalang hi kana focus hi in a hi le sunum kia library taujing kan hi ji chun chom kha zawin luchang na ho ka hin nei in back pain ho ka hin nei na hi le hi chi zawa chu ka hin focus e za chu ken kana focus hi jang le to ang ki kung ding ho na focus jo wa ka dei sa in abana choi le e ho thinglang mi ho hi lungneu na e lo le self doubt ti ho hi ha nei ji ovin hi jang le ka sei num pen choi hi le tu nya jang hinge ko le vai ho chu am ho hi ti naw vin te hi jang le ke jang na ho ta bang ka hiu vin ke jang charchan pura ping khang lin ka hin novidia he khasim ka hin I'm just like one of you or ta bang ka hin ke ban hilai mun chana UPSC final chan ka lun thei le chun this is achievable for every one of you na bonuwa tunya hilaya hung tau zo si hung ki khong kom zo si na bonuwa dinga wang hi thei a hi e ti chu amidang nidang in kol hon mut jang like tunia ke hilai ka ding the hi le chun no ho jang kum ki it might be 2 years elo le kum thum jo ham khana jang no ho jang hi ti da bang platform muna UPSC selected na hiwa na ding the ma hu ye ti chu tha bia ka sei no men hi chi chu le khat lang exam langa self confidence elo le confidence develop de choi hi le ke man ka ha zui pen choi le I ha sim chana concept I clear chana khu I confident sang hi in self doubt self confidence na yule chun ha sim movin lang revision ha bolovin exam de kun le kun atam zo ke in prelim his mainly prelim akun ka ha zui ji in exam with 2 weeks before the exam kun previous years question ko kaha practice ji in katawla ji in previous year question ko ka ke prinaw ji in exam environment tabang kun kataw ji in practice ka bol ji in hita chu previous year question practice I bol phala chun a ma self confidence a lo le chun ilunglit na hung ji in no ho jang ko itabang hi chi chu jangnum namle na try out the hi in abana self confidence elo le hi chi confidence umna dinga ka bol jing khat chwa hi le zo a loi pan jang a hi saitan notes ati in nam notes su kasim ji in every topic of the syllabus ko notes kasim in hi jang le pi ka bol kit amati le hin 1 month before the exam ko notes a ko na ku shorter notes kasim kit ji in te ka na banga ka notes su subject khana chu 100 page hi le hi chi 100 page chu around 20 page in category ji in hi chia aphat chumna chu ipi ham iti le UPSC syllabus avasin exam de kunar a textbook revision ko aha hi in short notes nan simpha no le 1 week before the exam ang ko na lekha simzo siu na revise na diu time na mo hi in zo ka sain 100 notes to simdi hila chun ni khat na la mai the hi 100 notes a kuna chu 20 notes 20 pages notes nan sim la chun ni khat na la de chu pung ka khat na la hi in na hi chita banga chu an shorter notes a choi la chun notes abona ji ngai ta lo main keyword na ji diu elo le na hon namang hil jingu elo le chun exam di kuna exam masanga hi chi ka revise lo le kamang hil di ti ho khu ka ji do jin hi chi chu shorter notes a hi in on the examination context confidence exam ahung nei to tu a ken ko confidence ka bilap dan chi sim ka sip chu 1 week masanga khu subject zo si ka revise men na hi le mentally psychology a chu ipika na hamte le ilung thima chu o 2 hafta last week in ka the kha sim elo le syllabus zo si ka revise e tel ilung nup a hi in UPSC chu itam ta chu ilung thima jang ilung thimin factor jang apu ai ja chu psychology a chu nang ma na confident na syllabus zo si ka revise e na ti pha le chun you will go inside examination hall with full confidence na confidence ta examination hall na chile chun you'll see an improvement in your paper hi in hi chi chu ke man personally ka za hin abana strategy langwang chu ha sai pon ka tin my co-speaker has speak a lot about the strategy. Can strategy a point mi ham khat bo se ka say no men. There's no one best strategy for UPSC preparation here. Listen to every topper ho cho si ko strategy ngayo win lang. You have to build your own strategy what work for you here. Can strategy zan in share jang la hi chi chu na apply wa chu UPSC na mu di wa hi point khu banga chu no pa hi la chu mi zo sin UPSC mu amu de hi tain ama na strategy hengang ke strategy hengang to par dang ho strategy hi jang le ngayo win lang mi akiba lo ja chu strategy ang ki pang lo is in find out what work for you na ho dinga ipipen chu work apam ti chu na hon na ki khul ngayo win blind following of any strategy chu ka suggest point hi chu ne het diu ka dei sa in a second na ka sai num choi hi le prelim mains a ken hi chi hi ka ha zui jing khat hi in minimum book maximum revision hi ka ha zui in ka source ko ka limited sa in hi jang le chun revision ka ha chi in source aki limited sa na chu a hi le zo ha kan sai hin exam di kuna na source atam la chun exam di kuna revision ha ai ja hi both prelim mains sa ka zui jing choi hi le minimum number of books maximum number of revision a hi in minimum number of books a chu for one topic a chu source khat bo se ka refer hin suppose polity a prelim adia polity hele Laxmikan bo se ka refer na polity a didi ba su Laxmikan coaching center te nga ta isima anga chu khat chai revision lo le pikan na ham chi sa nga chu khat na sima hi chi bunga hung zo sia chi bunga hung zo si hoi selan attempt to important so ai ja chu minimum book maximum revision hi ka follow in abana strategy a ka dei sa jing khat choi hi le eho lang mi ho he le he kha sim le นี่ขัดนี่เลยข้าสิปอนโทตากิปังละขัดกิปังละขัดเจ้าพาเลยถ้าสินี่เลยเห็นนุ่มตางากิว่าดอกเบรกกิละอินทุ่งกิหุ่งงากิท่าซิมกิเสียเห็นนะโปรแกรมเจ้าเสียกิจังจินเฮจังเลย UPSC กิหุ่งเงี้ยนั่นตีเลยจนน่าจุยเดียวว่าก็ได้ขัดจนเลย persistent งายจะมาจริงเงินนี่ขัดนี่ปุ่งกะส้มนสิมาอาจิงานะสิมเหล่าสังจน everyday ปุ่งกะกบปุ่งกะสิมนสิปุ่งกะสกีนะสิมจูพัดจุมโซไอเห็นจะจะจู whole year อะฮี everyday you have to read นั่ง number of hours จูหิง important นะนี่ขัดนี่ number of hours ตั้มตานะสิมาอาบาน break นั่นละนะสิมคิดนะ break นั่นละสังจน continuity จูนะ maintain นะ persistency จูนะ maintain เดียวก็ได้ซะอาบานนะเนี่ยก็ใส่topic ก็cover นุ่มกิจช่วยเห็นเลยโหตู้แต่เดียฮิลายาก็เวดานเห็น graduating student 19 11 12จังอุเมนตินมีตามตาเห็นอิติภาเลย UPSC กิกุดเป็นเดหัมที่ลงเกลามเดจุกยันใจเกยเกลตานาวังเห็นดิเปียนดิมจังจูฮิลาไม่เทียเห็นเกยมามูดานาวังเห็นเลยตัว high school 11 12เห็นวัง UPSC น่ะลงลุดอยู่เลยna textbook syllabus tua hoi sela na he dova fundamental hoi sa na clear so very important na hi tua ka sa hi 12 chan ho dinga in sei masang katin aji chu UPSC kong ki gut na ka bol ma sat pen pi hamiti le NCERT class 9 10 11 12 kala a hi chu ka sim ma sat pen na hi chi chu ni pi vet sa ham ti le chun 9 10 11 12 fa fundamental elo le basic so strong nga ye ti vet sa ai ja a chu tu ni hung ki khom UPSC lunglut UPSC ki gung num class 12 chan ho dinga ka dei sa chu hi le tu an na bol thei pe nu chu hi le na subject ngung hoi selin daija so vin lang by heart lawin conceptual understanding of knowledge na nei diu hi chu chung chu na chu adang da bol no mu le chun extra curricular activities in ki involve in lang build your personalities na hi chilanga chun involve in lang 12 chana wang chu UPSC standard book UPSC books ho wang chu simpan angai po chi chu ke ma gel da na hi alang khana 12 zawa graduation sim ho dinga chu hi le first year a chu graduation sim hi UPSC hi event le ikip good deal kum khat kum ni khu that is the prime phase of your preparation hi hi chian ki gut til kum within 2-3 years a khui ita sa jang hat kyang ki thanum isim num ja ki sim zo na la ya hin hi chi a chun na ki magut wal jang la hin exam na pi ma sanga na thasit man thei wa hi ja a chu ki magut wal jang ka tai sa po in first year a choi hi le nuptan enjoy theu hi ji chu mi ma ki hin kin enjoy no men grace and first year chu nuptan nom theu na ki prepare no mo mangwa hi le second year third year ana pat thei wa hi hi chi adia ka sei ma banga chu second year ho vera chu na pat no jang le jo a ka sei basic book ho NCERT book ho hilaya chu na pat no wa final year ham phat la hin standard book ho nan pat thei wa hin abana graduation na dinga a best pen wang chu grace na chayowa na optional la diu to na grace nova na honors na bolo akiba alawang hichi honor subject to hoi sela na simula chun UPSC at least 40% of the syllabus na simchai utabanga hi aji chu main sa ho optional ho 500 marks a hin na honors hu to optional ki ba adile hichi chu na sim hoi sela grace and sungsia na simula chun na optional chu grace na chayola ki prepare tabang ai ja chu grace and sim hon optional ki bang hon optional na graduating subject to hoi sen semoven lang adang ho choi hi la chun you can start preparation second year elo la third year ang na khat la ni zo la hin ep ki sei na ham ki pen ji ai ja he UPS newspaper sim na pat theu zo ka sei NCERT book hong na pat theu final year ho phal le hi standard book ho chun nan pat theu hi jang le graduation sung sia na bol thei na bol diu kha choi le hit topper ho ni ki mu piwa elo la UPSC musa ho UPSC ki gung ho interview main chen ji ho in ha mwa ni ki mu piwa ipi chun na nga dia wa ka ma ipi ti le kha simuwa ipi book refer ham hi ji ho wang chun na vet theu elo le chun hi chi langa chu na ki ha involve theu wa hi a chei na lang hi tan tin ka sei num ke choi he le UPSC ki gut na hi ka suggestion num choi he le gunchu ta pangangayin pathin su na ngayin aji chu nang le nang na ki ta san lo le hin UPSC in nang le nang ban kita san daw la UPSC in administrator dian nan ta san panga pathin su nga panga in that attempt chun ana give up leng tu ni kwa helaya ka ding lo de hin hi jang le ke man hi pathin alampi elo le hi chi ke ma year chu hunan tin khagun chu tan ki pang lewang chu lol hin na nan te ka tia give up lo wa kana pang ja chu tu nia lol hin na elo hi chi muna ding the ka hi ja hi pathin su na gun chu ta pang ding chu ka dei sa in abana zo ajang asai ta in ken ban ka bol thelen ho zo sin na bol thei de hi in e ho la hi gen thei vai cha hi excuse in la nung moven ken jang ke jang num sa chung ka hi po in ka pa jang la ya tawin ka pa jang forest gar hi in ka gen thei in ka ha sa ye tia excuse na la ule chun koi man nong ki thu pi chum de po e again thei mi zo si gen thei hi in again thei anum sa chum ya thlop e ho society dia cho anum sa thlom ma thlom hi in gen thei jang la chun na gen thei na chung chu na chu opportunities na ki hola hoi la hi scholarship umam hoi la hi ka phat chum na thei umam ti na ki holo wa na lo thin new la chun min hi chi ho chu amu lo de hi tan koi ma in kum som zo pha le ama pa hi again thei na to na piu ti ti lo hi nam hi chi a chu you have to saying that I mean where you are today is not your fault again, but where you will be tomorrow will be your fault at the end. Dunia na position hi hoi la ya no uma ipin sunga na pinga ipi position ano mam hilen nang ma fault ai pon. Kununga na mit sulawa kununga nang ma na lungtup na mu sulaw le chun nang ma fault hi ti chu thabya ka sei do no ma hin. Chai sa at say na dinga quotes ka asim numin chizo phala question answer la de wahin quotes ka sim num cho hele winner do not do different things, they do things differently atin alol hin na nei hoi hin lekha chum elo le gathim chum elo le chun exceptional la thil agasim hi point similar resource na hon tu na komwana nei resource ma simuwa lol hin na muai ja chu amho to iho ki khit na ampoin itha num wa gun chu tap ipangule chon iho jang chu lol na imu thewe ti chu atha be kan sei do no ma hi ka ki pa em
Hello. There is a saying that a river cuts the rock, not because the river is strong, but because of its persistency and consistency. And we see that rivers attribute in the journey of our Miss Ching Hoi's life. And we are so privileged to hear such story, very inspiring story. And, I think the reasons why a large crowd came today is because your success is regarded as a society or the community success, and that's very great. And we are immensely grateful to Ms. Chong Hoi for widening the mental horizons of the aspirants and for equipping us well. Okay, in the initial part of the program, I was raising a questions like, what makes them different? And listening to their speech, I found the answers. Meaning, they discipline themselves to overcome 3 big diseases. Number 1, excusitis, meaning making excuses. The diseases of making excuses. Oh, I'm not good in maths, I'm not good in history, I think this is just not for me. No, they overcome that excusitis diseases. And secondly, complacency. All right, I'm fine, I'm settled, I don't want bigger than this. This is enough for me, this is suiting me. No, they didn't do that. They find and they move on to achieve a bigger goal. And the last one, procrastinations. They value the time called now. They don't want to do things, let me do tomorrow, let me do later. No, they overcome that disease called procrastination. All right, we are now going to have the interactive session. Meanwhile, I want the ushers to arrange the seat here, all right? And the students to prepare questions. Hello, ushers. Please arrange the seat of the resource persons to here. Now it's time for a interactive session. We will try to make the best out of it. Yes, And while they are preparing, we will love to raise several questions to the research person. And like I said, prepared, audience prepared, we will raise questions too to you. And in case if you can answer it, we arrange a very attractive prize as well. All right, please raise the question.
While the audience are still preparing with their questions, I would like to take the opportunity to raise a simple question because I feel every woman in this hall would like to ask the same question. So, on behalf of the female audience, this question is for Ms. Jinghoi. Being an epitome of women empowerment, what message would you like to convey to the girls of the future generation?
Hello. If you see the population of our society or of our country, half of the populations are women. So if we doesn't become part of the policy making, the country will continue to lag behind. It is also a hozang he numeye tia lungnyo nai macham lo hela we are equally capable. Numei pasal ti kan lau hela mi mai ki vetna gunchu ta I pang lawang chun lo hin mo poe ti chu ka dei sa hin gunchu ta nong pang jing diwa here.
Hello. All right. I think the answer was fabulous. All right. Let us give. Hello. Let us give time to audience in case if any audience have some doubts or some questions while they have delivered their speech. You are very welcome to raise your questions. All right. Hello, check. Any audience who wish to raise questions?
Hello, respected Sir Parikshit Thaudam and it's really like
Hello. I think we can use this mic. All right. I think that's better.
Hello, respected Sir Parikshit Thaudam and Ma'am Hachinghui Hoikim. My name is Jan, and I would like to raise a question particularly directed to Ma'am Hachinghui. My question is, I've been attempting the UPSC exam this year, and I've realized one of the biggest mistakes I've had is reading too much. I mean, relying on too many materials. And both of you have mentioned about limiting the resources. So I would like Ma'am Hachinghui to give me a few lines regarding how to limit the resources and how to limit my resources. Thank you.
How to minimize the resources. How I limit my resources is, as I mentioned before, for every topic, I make sure that I refer from a single source. With respect to prelim, for example, for polity, I read only Laxmikant. For environment, I read only Sankarayas. So for every subject with respect to prelim, I make sure that the source is only one. And whatever is lacking from that source, I just put an addition or I just supplement from that. With respect to mains, what I follow is, and I make a notes of every topic of the UPSC mains. So once I make the basic notes of all the syllabus of the UPSC mains, my next task is just to revise that book and in addition to that, add a current affair. That's how I limit my source.
Hello. Yes, Miss Jackie, is your questions answered?
Can I ask one more additional question?
Okay.
Yes, my answer, my question was so to convey my gratitude. One more question I would like to ask is in regards to resources again. I've been reading Satish Chandra's book, History of Modern India, and my performance this year, I've realized that basically the book is more like a storyline. So I've been looking at my friends' materials and they have referred a spectrum. So I've been thinking, is it wise to change my study material from Satish Chandra to spectrum? But then the thing is, I'm more comfortable with Satish Chandra, but from an examination point of view, I feel like since Satish Chandra's storyline and spectrum, I've just given like a thorough study and it's more like a bullet point. So is it wise to change my next attempt next year from Satish Chandra to spectrum? It's more like a personal question, so either of you can answer the question.
If I'm not mistaken, I think modern history is Bipin Chandra.
Oh, Bipin Chandra.
Yeah. Even I did the same thing. My initial year, I read Bipin Chandra, but personally, I shift to spectrum because I prefer spectrum because in the book, they wrote it point-wise. So that book, it helped me to memorize it much better, the points. And at the end of every chapter, they summarize it. So that really helped me before the exam. That was the reason I shifted. But I would suggest that have a look at the spectrum once. Since you're talking about next year attempt, if you find it more comfortable to read spectrum, you can shift it for next year.
Thank you, ma'am. That will help a lot in my next attempt.
Thank you.
I'd just like to add some points to it. So please have a seat. So in spectrum, as far as I remember, there are certain appendices at the end. So that helps in memorization also. So if you look at spectrum at the end, after all the chapters have been discussed, there are some appendices like the history of different governor generals, viceroys, and different congress sessions, and peasant movements, socio-cultural religious movements. So these appendices are there, so that helps in memorization. Now, before thinking of changing your source, I think you should also take into consideration whether you are prepared with other parts of the syllabus as well. Like for instance, if you are not prepared with optional, you cannot go on spending all your time in modern history, because modern history is just one component. Okay, and it is not that this year's question, the way the modern history questions came, especially in prelims, it was not that you could have answered all questions by simply reading a spectrum. I mean, the questions were as such. There were certain surprise questions also. So that is always there. And see, if you start comparing your sources, they will always, the grass is always greener on the other side. You will always feel that, you know, the source that you're referring to is always less, and maybe perhaps your other friends have a better source. That sense of, I don't know what to call it, inferiority, I don't know whether it's a correct label, but that will remain. So what you can do is, see, if I say Tina Dabi rank 1, she used Bipin Chandra, she didn't refer to spectrum. So now, so that is always there. So what you can do is, maybe perhaps you can, just as how Haching Hoi also has mentioned, you can look at spectrum, see if you're comfortable with it, and see if you're a person who is used to reading such books like novels and all, you might be able to complete spectrum in a very short while, given that you are thorough with modern history from Bipin Chandra already. You are not reading modern history for the first time. So that call has to be taken by you. But I agree that the way the book is written in spectrum, it is easier to memorize, given that it is mentioned in points, and they've also given it in chronology, like how things have progressed. So yes.
Hello sir and ma'am. My name is Caleb. My question is regarding CSAT. My question is, what do you suggest for aspirants struggling with CSAT? Okay,
I'll go first. So CSAT, they expect you to know basic comprehension, number one. So you can divide it into 3 parts. One will be comprehension, passages, and you have to understand the passage and select the most appropriate option. Second is there's logical reasoning. You'll need to have some IQ or maybe reasoning, non-verbal reasoning tests. Third is some calculations. Now, the kind of math questions that they ask is mostly limited to class 10 level questions. They will not ask you algebra, they will not, maybe some part of algebra perhaps, but they will not ask you calculus, differential equations, or maybe some integration. They won't ask you such questions. They'll ask you basic percentages, basic ratio proportions, data analysis. And I have recently joined service, and I understand that understanding, having a grip over these mathematical calculations is important, because going forward, data-driven policy is what we talk of. You must have read in your current affairs also, like data-driven policy. So data, you need to be able to, make sense out of data. You need to be good at statistics. You need to be able to compute such basic arithmetic operations. Okay. Now for that, for all those school students out here, CSAT and other aspirants also, CSAT, as you understand, since 2019, the difficulty level of CSAT has drastically increased. So there are so many people who get good marks in GS1, but they falter in CSAT. So you have to prepare CSAT seriously as well. Now for those school students out here, I think if you are focusing right now on your class 8, class 9, 10 level math, that will help. See, I am a person who is also very afraid of mathematics. I really run away from mathematics. That is why I took life sciences as my field of subject. But still, the math kind of math they ask is basic. And if you do a little bit of practice, and it is doable, and it is also important once you join the bureaucracy. So yeah, I think I'll keep it like that. And also maybe you can refer to a few reference books which solves all these exams. And also if you can have a look at previous year questions, especially the last 2, 3, 4 previous year questions, and see what kind of problems are being asked. And for such type of problems, how should be your mental state should be to, how do you approach that problem? How do you go about solving those problems? I think if you practice a little, I think that is doable.
Thank you, sir.
I just want to add one point on that. As he mentioned, solve previous year question, and of the 80 questions, around 30 will be comprehension, that is on English, and among the remaining 50, there will be at least 30 questions which you can solve with basic knowledge of maths. So try to identify what kind of question you are comfortable, so that on the day of the examination day, you don't spend your unnecessary time on those questions which you are not comfortable. So while you solve the previous year question, I would suggest that try to analyze the type of the question and know what type of question you can solve it, and know what type of question you can't solve it, because paper 2 is just to qualify it. So you need to be clever in identifying what type you need to choose, to which type of question you need to allocate your limited number of times.
Yes, let us give one very simple information. In case if you have any questions to raise, it is okay. You can come and stand here in case if there is an issue with the movement. All right. Right now, let me ask a simple questions to high school students. Is there any high school students? Okay. All right. I will ask one simple question, and if you can answer it, raise your hand. And if you can answer it, raise your hand and speak it out. All right. And if you can do that, there is a very good prize for it, a reward for it. Okay, the first simple questions to high school student is, what is the full form of, UPSC? Raise your hand if you have the answer. Okay, I see that guy raising hand first. Please come. Yes, you are high school students, right? All right, what is the answer? Wait, I can't hear. Ushers, please give him the mic.
Union Public Commissioner Service.
Please repeat.
Union Public Service Commissioner.
Okay, oh great. Please come ahead. Yes, please come. We want to know your sweet name as well and from which school you came from. Oh, yeah, and your class as well.
My name is Tangomang Hoikim of Class 8, Greenwood Academy.
Here's a prize. Okay. Keep it. All right, thank you. Well, we want to let you all know that every knowledge comes with reward, all right? Okay, now coming back to the questionnaire, is there any other questions that you want to raise? If so, raise your hand so that we could see you. All right, I see here first, and please come ahead, the other team too, all right? I mean the other person. Please come ahead because there is a problem, I think, with that. Yeah, transferring of microphone. All right. Okay. Yeah. Please tell us your name too as well.
Okay, it's okay. So I have just 3 questions. Can I ask all?
Yes, yes. I will.
We did not talk about coaching. So firstly, I want to know, did Miss Sing Hoi take coaching? That what I want to know. And did she suggest me any coaching to attend in this Churachandpur?
I hope our kasajing deha. With coaching to hele English pronunciation katen. With respect to coaching, if you have the capacity to attend coaching and if you have the time, there's nothing wrong in taking the coaching. But having said that, what I want to focus is that it is equally possible to crack this UPSC exam without coaching. For that, I suggest that have a proper mentor or a guide who already is into this field to guide you with respect to the book reference, with respect to the examination process, and with respect to the question whether it's possible to prepare from Churachandpur. And since the technology is already developed, every study materials is available in online. You can well prepare from Churachandpur. But once you clear the prelim, if you want to write mains offline, you can go to any of the center. But even personally, last year, I wrote all my mains test series online. I wrote it in my own room, wrote the test series and submit online. So even though last year I stay in Delhi, it is equivalent to me even staying in Manipur. So as long as you have the environment, I think it is very, very possible to clear it from here.
So, just as how Hachinko has also mentioned, if you have the time, the money, and also a general interest in attending classes, then I think coaching is okay. It's okay to take coaching. Now, if you ask me, is coaching absolutely required to clear this exam? I wouldn't say so. Why? Because coaching, what it does is only gives you the foundation. Rest, you have to build on your own. And the topics right now is developing. The world is changing so quickly. There's so many new issues coming out every day. Okay, and coaching cannot keep up with it. Say, for instance, if you have taken in coaching in, say, 2020, the things might become, except remaining the static part, the current affairs would have changed a lot. Who would have predicted something like the COVID-19 pandemic would struck the world entirely, right? So that is there. So coaching up to a level helps you only in the foundation. Now, if you are able to clear this foundation on your own without the help of a teacher, which might require you a little more effort than perhaps a person who has a full-fledged teacher, then you might need a little bit more of a hard work, but it is doable. That is what I'm saying. So for instance, if you pick up any book, and if you are reading up any specific topic X, if you just go to Google, go to YouTube, you will find so many videos. You'll find so many. Now, the point is that you shouldn't go lost in all these videos. Take 1 or 2 lectures, watch them. Try to improve your concepts, then try to make sense of what book you are reading. Now, that is where the test series can also come in. after you have read these books, solve a test paper. Now you will realize when you solve the test paper, you will realize how well you know, how well you do not know. Because you will make so many mistakes while solving these questions. So that is where your concept check also comes in and also helps you keep on track. Why people go for coaching is that, number one, the guidance. Number two, you get a peer group. You get a peer group of like-minded people who are pursuing for the same exam. If you are able to create that atmosphere even here itself, if so many people here, out of these, if you have some bunch of people who are willing to take this exam, you're committed and you are motivating each other, that is some reasons why we go for coaching institute. And also coaching helps you keep on track because the class will progress slowly and slowly. So you will also read, revise alongside how the class progresses. So that is, I think, some major reasons why we go for coaching. Otherwise, beyond this, I don't think there is any additional inputs that there has to be that self-introspection. It is very difficult for a single teacher to come down and pin you, this is right, this is wrong. It is not doable unless you are very, you pursue your teacher so much. That is there. Now, I just like to touch up on optionals here. See, I have taken coaching for optional. In 2019, I did not take any classes for optionals and I wrote it on my own. I felt that my performance was not good. So I joined classes and I gave the 2020 attempt. Now, there has been some improvement in my scores as far as optional is concerned. But more than the improvement of scores, I had better clarity of concepts once I joined the coaching classes. So those of you who are, opting for a completely new subject, like for instance, somebody who has done engineering and is taking a completely new subject, maybe perhaps you might require optionals. I did coaching for optionals, but GS, I don't think that is... it is always good if you have the resources with you, but otherwise it is not absolutely mandatory.
For my second question, if you are going to prepare for just 1 year, let's say this is the final year, how will you prepare? And how do they study? I mean, there are a lot of syllabus, there are a lot of books. Shall we start all the books, all the syllabus at once, or shall we focus for 2 months history first, and after that geography, and after that go on? So how did they exactly study? Because I have not yet experienced anything.
Okay, now taking too much pressure of making the exam your last attempt is also bad. It will impede your performance. But you need to be able to channelize your energy, your stress in a good way to focus on the exam. Now, as far as covering your chapters, your subjects is concerned, I think you should have a proper plan of how do I progress. I am a person who reads one subject at a time. I do not go for multiple subjects. I mean, this is my taste. I just like the sense of having completed a chapter or maybe a subject. So I am that kind of a person. I don't read multiple. Maybe I must be reading maybe static and current affairs, but I don't do 2-3 static at one time. So that's a personal choice. But the more important point is that you should have in your schedule, you should have some portions of revision. What you have studied earlier, in your timetable, you need to keep some time. Suppose you have read geography and you moved on to economics. By the time you complete your economics, you'd be completely blank with geography. You would have forgotten almost everything. And it will be like you're opening up a new book, even if it is the same book. So that is there. So you need to fit in revisions properly in your schedule. You need to revise. And first time revision will take a lot of time. Second time might take you more time. But once you do this 4 or 5 times, revision will also become very quick. So that is the key portion. You need to have the provisions for revisions.
I think he covered all the requirement. And the first and foremost thing you have to do is download the syllabus. That's all I want to add.
For my last question, is there any way to start to read faster? And what are the tips? And should we focus on long hour studies or short hour studies?
Okay. Reading quickly. I think, see, that might seem like a very hilarious question, but I think it really makes sense because there's so much to read and we really want to complete things very quickly. I'd like to, include few strategies which I use to perhaps read quickly. First is, I am not an avid reader. I do not read novels. I used to read at one point in time, but I do not read much. I like to listen. I like listening. lectures and all. I listen while going on the way. I listen to YouTube videos. So what I do is that, for instance, reading Spectrum, I remember, was really challenging for me, like that whole thick book. So first reading, you need to read line by line. But during the first reading, what I do is that I have 2-3 highlighters with me, like colored highlighters. And I think a lot before underlining anything in the book. Because the next time I read, I will not read the whole text. I will read only what is being highlighted. So first reading, I'll read the entire length, but then I'll highlight what I feel is absolutely important, which I need to remember. So my textbook will be multicolored. There will be different colored pens with different markings. So next time I read, I know that this particular portion is important for mains perspective. This particular point is important for me with prelims, or perhaps this is a generally important point which I need to remember. So it really cuts down my time in reading the whole book. This is one strategy. But this strategy fails for books like Lakshmikant, because Lakshmikant, every word is important, because in law and legal text, each word can completely change the meaning of how you interpret it in a word line by line, and it might seem challenging at once. But once you read the book multiple times, it becomes very easy. And that is where I again bring in test series. Once you read, you might miss out few caveats of the content, but once you solve test of polity, you make mistakes, then you go back to Lakshmikant and see, how did you miss this point? Was it not written, or did I misinterpret whatever is written? So that self-correction comes in. So this is there. I'll also just quickly include one more example, since you've asked this question. I refer to Vision IAS. For mains 365, I read Vision IAS. So Vision IAS, what it does is, it highlights important points in bold. Okay? So what I do is, I look at the page, I look what is being discussed, what is the topic, what is the heading, subheading, everything. Then I do not read the whole text line by line. I just read what is mentioned in bold and see if it makes sense in the context of the topic that is being discussed. If I feel that this particular bold is making sense, I do not read the whole line. But if it is not making sense, then I read the whole text. I think these are some strategies I use to complete the book quickly and also make sense out of it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, and I have seen a guy who raised the hand. Okay, before we proceed to give him the time, I will raise another question again, a very simple one again, on exclusively class 11 and 12 students. Is there any 11 and 12 students? Okay, what is the full form of IRS? Okay, please come. You have to tell your name, your school, and your class, and then your answers. Please come ahead. No cheating, please come ahead. Please come ahead.
Only 11, 12? Yes.
Okay. Sorry, there was a miscommunication. All right, the question was for 11 and 12 exclusively. The full form of IRS. Help me, who raised the hands first? This one or this one? Okay, all right. I think let's give him. All right, what is the answer? Please come ahead. We cannot hear you.
They will not know. Even we didn't know.
Okay, and those who want to raise the questions, prepare after this. All right.
Full form of IRS, Indian Revenue Service. My name is Mango Sim from VK Tona College of Class 12.
All right, thank you. Okay, thank you. All right, we see so many response from the audience. We are so excited about it. more exciting questions will come. Meanwhile, I have seen a person who raised his hands for question and answer R. Please come up and take the mic and raise your questions.
Hello, sir. Hello, ma'am. Sir, earlier you have mentioned a little bit about the newspaper. So my question to you is, am I right to assume that to understand the newspaper, I have to cover my foundation first? Is that so?
Foundation covering, making a good foundation of the general studies is important to understand newspaper. Otherwise, you will not understand. Say, for instance, if they're discussing any topics on, say, budget, or maybe the speaker, doing some adjournment motion, or maybe, proroguing a particular motion, you cannot understand this unless your foundation is clear. So what I recommend is that you do this side by side. You start, once you have decided to prepare for the civil services examination or for any other examination, which is related to this thing, what you can do is start your static book, start reading it. At the same time, read your newspapers. You might find it challenging for the first 3-4 months. For reading the newspaper might take you 2, 3, 4 hours, depending upon what kind of news is coming up. It will take you some time. Just bear with it. That is why it takes time for this preparation. Just bear with it, just continue, just struggle, once you read the newspaper, you find anything which you don't know, Google up, search, clear your concepts then and there, then try to make sense of the news article. Once you know the background, the polity or whatever concepts is there in that particular news, once you understand that, make sense of the news and proceed forward like this. Now, over a period of 3 to 4 years, you will realize that your concepts have improved a lot. At the same time, you will be also studying your static book, so that knowledge increase will be happening side by side. Now, by the end of 3-4 months, you will feel that reading newspaper is much easy. I have this, feeling that if you read, for instance, say you read the business line or you read the economy section of any newspaper, and in reading this section, if you do not Google up even one single term even once, it is a good indication that your concepts in economy is quite good. Because economic is very conceptual, a lot of concepts are involved. And when you read the news and if you can make sense without even searching up anything in the internet once, that means your concepts are clear. I think that is there. Second is, once you solve some, previous year questions of UPSC, both for prelims as well as mains, you will get an idea of what is important in the news and what is not. That can be very subjective, I tell you. Hachingkoi might feel that this news item A is very important. I might feel that this is not important, B is more important. That subjectivity can be there. But despite that, your understanding is your understanding. I do not read the whole newspaper. I just read all the headlines, but I do not read whatever I think is not important. I just read whatever I feel is important, and I try to make sense of what the news is trying to say. And if I feel that anything out of this news can be used in my prelims, in solving answers, or as an example in mains, I make a very short note, maybe in 1 to 2 lines. So you should keep a target that you try to keep, we call it micro notes. You try to minimize your content as much as possible while writing, because the notes that you have made over a period of, say, 1, 2, 3 years, you need to be able to revise those notes. But then if you have a whole 2-3 register of notes, how will you revise that? It is impossible. And you not even open the notebook. So you need to make very small notes. Make a target that if you make any notes out of this newspaper, it should be very short, very concise. It is your notes. Nobody else need not understand it. You should understand it. And it should make sense to you. I think this is my approach.
In addition to that, what I want to mention is that you need not read all the articles given in a particular day. For example, just choose 1, 2, 3 important articles which you feel is important. Even if you choose 2 articles per day, over a month you will be reading 60 articles. So you need not read all the editorial or the opinion. Just choose important 2-3, make a notes of it. And with respect to the notes making, in the initial month, first beginning 1-2 months, even if you can't make notes, it's okay. Since you are just starting it, you might not know what to write or what not to write. So after 1-2 months, once you have a proper idea of which is important, you can start making notes. So it's not necessary that the day you start reading your newspaper, you have to write making notes. Thank you.
I'd just like to add one more thing. Like how she said, you need not start making notes immediately. First, you need to understand what kind of questions are being asked in the exam. Otherwise, you start making notes out of everything. So first, you need to know what kind of themes are being, if you open up your mains exam, mains question paper, you will see that there are certain themes in which the UPSC questions is asking based on whichever paper that you are picking up. So based on that, you try to make notes. Also, what I do is that I maintain a small diary in which I note down all the statistics. In newspaper, you will come across many statistics, correct? Now, it's always a good idea to use these statistics while you are writing your answers to make your argument more strong, because it is backed by facts. Now, what I do is that whenever I see a good statistics which I think can be incorporated while writing any answer, I make a note of it. I try to include the source, the year, which year it was, the publication, or the report wherever the statistics is taken for, or the organization which releases these statistics. And then what I do is, suppose I have taken a statistics on primary education of India. Then in the course of time, you will come across so many more statistics related to primary education. But you need not note down every data on primary education. One data is enough. So on and so forth for other topics. Now for this, what you need to do is you make these notes, and then you need to revise again and again so that you are aware that in your notes, data on this particular theme is already included, and you need not note down that same redundant data, as I call it. So that is there. And yes, also similarly, on similar lines, you can also note down examples I mentioned earlier from whatever you think can be incorporated in the exam, and you need to revise these notes again and again, because you need to recollect these examples during the 3 hours when you're writing. You need to recollect all these examples, for which you need repeated revision. See, now when I say this, it might seem like a lot of work to do, but once you start, it's easy. It doesn't take much effort. And once you go through that phase, the revision becomes much easy once you start. So it might seem challenging, but just break down, take one small step every day, do this every day, and you will be surprised at how much of things you have covered in the due course of time.
So one more question related with the newspaper. Hello. Can I only depend on the newspaper analysis provided by the Unacademic or Baiju's YouTube channels without, reading the whole Hindu?
Yeah, thank you very much for asking that question. So I'll tell you my story. I was confident that I can write good essays. I need not increase my vocabulary. I had that in mind. So people usually read articles like the editorials page, mostly because there are so many good words. You get a flavor of writing, of how to write essays. I knew that I can write a decent essay. So I did not focus much on enriching my vocabulary. For me, the priority was getting the content. So I referred to an online YouTube channel called Only IAS. That is purely in Hindi. So somewhere I also wanted to improve my Hindi, so I referred to that channel. Now what I did is I listened. So you can refer to any other channel or any other lecture that you have been listening to. So what I do is I listen to that. I try to remember then and there whatever issues are being discussed. And then, just as how I said, I make short notes out of, after I finish the video, I just sit back, remember, and I make short notes out of whatever I've understood out of that video. Now, because of this, it saves me a lot of time while reading newspaper, because I don't even look at the editorial page. I don't even look. I read other articles. I read other articles, but I do not read the editorial page. Now, that saves me a lot of time, and I can focus on other areas. Now, while making notes also, please bear in mind that when you write your mains exam, you have very limited space. You see that there are just 2 pages for a 10-marker question, and maybe for a 15 marks, there are 3 pages, right? So you have very limited space and also limited time. So you don't have the luxury of time and space while writing. So while preparing your notes, you just need to know the points. Like for instance, any issue X, you just need to know the provisions. You just need to know the issues or the pros or cons, the advantages or disadvantages of any issue that you're discussing. So you need to have that brief points. You don't have to make a very descriptive notes. Just the point that you need to recollect, so that you make your revision also easy.
Thank you, sir. Hello. All right. As we proceed for the next to raise a question,
before that, I would love to raise another. Yes, we will give you time. There will be another round of competitions, quiz competitions again, but this time exclusively for the ladies, because two boys have already got the prize. Now we have to reserve exclusively for the ladies. All right. Okay. The question is very simple again. So if you have the answer, raise your hands, and I will see who raised the hands first, and I will call you out, and you have to give the answers. All right? Okay. The question is very simple, like I said. What is the name of our DC, Churchandpur DC? All right. I think, no, this is exclusively for the ladies. No gentlemen this time. All right. Come on. It's for everyone, anyone. No one knows the name of our DC? Among the ladies? Or you want to pass the questions and we have to raise another question? Okay, fine. Let us proceed to the question and answer R. All right, please come and get the mic and raise your question.
Hello. Hello, sir. Hello, ma'am. My name is Pauline Mangholai. Sir, actually my question is directed to Sir Pariksit. Sir has earlier mentioned that he's from life science backgrounds. So I'm also from a science background, and I have done my graduate from life science. So before, after I'm preparing for UPSC, I have many confused regarding my optional subject. So I make some just like make list around some subject like geography, public administration, and anthropology. And then since I'm from science background, I make my decision and I decided to take anthropology as my optional subject. So my question to you is, how do you approach and what is your strategy for this optional anthropology? And please tell us your book list and resource and regarding your coaching institutions.
Okay. So anthropology, see, are you a life science student? Are you a biology student?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm from life science.
See, in biology, you must have seen the syllabus of anthropology, and there's a component there's a particular branch of anthropology which we call physical anthropology, and it talks about human genetics, biotechnology. So that is where we can use our knowledge of biology. So that is one plus point that you have with compared to other person who is maybe from an engineering background or from a purely humanities background. So that you need to be, you should be able to capitalize on that particular domain experience in biology that you have in that physical anthropology. Now, as far as my strategy in anthropology is concerned, you should be well versed with all the theories. There are like, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 theories. This forms the foundation of anthropology. And once you're very well versed with, you should be able to analyze these issues from the theory bent of mind as to how anthropologists would have discussed these issues. That is one thing. Second is, you should be very well aware of the syllabus of anthropology, and while reading any current affairs or any development, you should be able to connect the syllabus of anthropology and the happenings. So what I'm asking you to do is, you should be thinking that this particular content can be used when questions from this particular area is brought up. You understood my point. So for example, epidemiology is one section in anthropology, physical anthropology. So there's so many things happening about corona pandemic. So for example, people are using the sewage to detect the presence of coronavirus and see whether they are, spread in one particular locality. So there can be a good example which you can use while anything related to epidemiology comes up. I'm just giving you an example. So likewise, you should be able to collect examples which you can use for any specific subtopics of anthropology that they ask you. First thing. Second is, you should be able to connect the different components of the syllabus. Like, you should not look the paper 1 and paper 2 in silos. In fact, the different branches of anthropology, you should not see them in silos. Whenever there's a question, you think that there is some appropriateness of connectivity between different portions of the syllabus, you should connect. You should show them that you are well versed with the concepts and you are easily able to connect these concepts. Third is, which I really focused on, is try to always incorporate some current affairs while writing the answer. So it's very lucky actually. In 2018, there is a lady officer. She's posted in Uttar Pradesh now. She got 60 plus marks in anthropology. That is exceptional. That is a lot, you must be knowing. 300 is considered a very good score. She got 360 plus. So I was fortunate to stumble upon her test papers which she wrote in to a particular coaching institute. So I downloaded them and I analyzed how she writes the answer. And one thing I saw is that she uses, whenever she uses maps to show where the different look at some distribution or maybe some Neolithic sites distribution, she always uses maps, number one. Number two, she will use diagrams appropriately as and when, like primatology. You must be knowing that there are so many diagrams that you can incorporate. Third is that she will always have a section on how the current question which is being asked is linked to something which is happening in the recent context. So she will include a section like recent happenings, contemporary issues, recent current affairs, something like that. She will always have a section, which I also copied ditto. I copied it, then and there I used it in my first attempt in mains as well, and third and second attempt also. And I think I got decent marks. So I think these are some approaches to anthropology. Yes, but mind you, if you are a student of biology, you shouldn't just go on and show off your bio knowledge, because those examiners are anthropology teachers. They will not appreciate full-fledged biology. But you should be able to intelligently use your knowledge of biology to somehow harmonize it with the knowledge of anthropology. You should not just show off your bio knowledge. If it becomes a biology paper, they will not award you marks. You should be able to somehow connect it with the anthropological concepts.
Hello? Sir, you please tell us some book list or resources, both paper one and paper.
Book list. Okay, so my first attempt in anthropology was completely haphazard. I'll just tell you a few sources that are basic. The problem with anthropology is that the reference books that we have is mostly outdated, except for those ones which are written by foreign authors, like Ember and Ember, for instance. These are quite updated. However, the other, like socio-cultural anthropology, which we have in India, Tribal India by Nadeem Hasnain, these are very old books. They are just reprinted versions. So there's a lot of, and then Physical Anthropology, P. Nath. These are very old books. A lot of recent books have not come out. So the onus is on you to understand what has been done so far in anthropology and connect it with recent happenings. That is where you can really get the reward. So that effort that you need to put in. So for me, the sources were that I tried reading all this, but I felt that physical anthropology, it is very outdated. A lot of development has occurred after that book has been published. Okay, it is just a reprinted version. I might be wrong now, but back then in 2018-19 when I was preparing, P. Nath it seemed outdated to me. So what I did is I tried to, once I understood the subjects, I made notes on my own as to what kind of current affairs can be linked. That is one thing. I read Sachin Gupta. If you remember, Sachin Gupta is, I think, Sachin Gupta sir's notes, he got second rank, if I remember correctly. Second rank in 2018, I guess. So I fortunately got his notes online, and I read primatology from his notes. I read archaeology from his notes. Even now, I read archaeology from even in this attempt, because he had made such good notes. Then why do you need to do so much effort when somebody has already done effort for you, correct? So I read Sachin Gupta sir's notes. I also referred to Bhasme. Vivek Bhasme, it's, I forgot, the Unique Publications, yes. By Unique Publication, the author is Vivek Bhasme. I think he himself is a civil servant. He has published a book on simplified anthropology. I read that book as well. But yes, these are some sources I read, but in the second attempt, I took coaching classes, as I told earlier also, and I got some coaching material notes, which I read, and also complemented it with the notes which I had already earlier with me. So these are some, otherwise I do not have a proper book list per se.
Sir, about the coaching institution, which coaching that you take up for your optional anthropology?
See, for anthropology, I took the guidance of Karandeep sir. Karandeep sir is right now associated with a coaching institute called Level Up IS. I liked his classes, and it helped me improve my concepts a lot. You can also explore options if you want, yeah.
All right. Okay. Yes, thank you. We will close the, okay, all right. One or two quick questions, and then we will close the question and answer hour. All right, please come ahead.
First of all, a big congratulations to respected Sir Pariksit Thodam and Ms. Hoikim for bringing laurels not only to your own community but also to your state at large. Sir, my name is Lenzo Singson. Currently, I'm pursuing my master's degree in Mizoram University. I have ample of questions, but due to time constraints, I may not be allowed to ask all the questions. Sir, each year, thousands, forget about thousands, lakhs and lakhs of aspirants apply this prestigious examination, but only few can crack, and the rest will not be able to make it to the final. So obviously, something is lagging behind, and that makes the difference between someone who crack and someone who do not. So besides the study materials and the strategy one should adopt, what I would like to ask is, what qualities one should inculcate or possess along this journey, besides the study materials and all this strategy? What qualities are UPSC demanding from an aspirant? That's my first question. And then secondly, sir, social media. Talking about social media, and even recently, I've come across some toppers stating that the negative impacts of social media. And of course, there might be some pros and cons, but sir, what is your take on this, and how do you handle it during your preparation journey? Thank you, sir. That's my question.
Okay, this is my personal opinion that it is not that those who have been recommended by UPSC are totally different from those who unfortunately did not make it in the list. I would say that there is some essence of luck in this exam. I can tell you that there may be many more people who is much more talented than us, but they did not got recommended for many reasons. I mean, there can be many, how you have performed in the exam. Perhaps the examiner who checked the copy was not in the correct frame of mind while they were checking there can be so many variables. So I think I should, that is my personal opinion, that we are no different. In fact, there may be more, much more capable people who have been unfortunately not recommended. That is there. But that is why I feel that after some point in this attempts, I think it is always also good to have a plan B somewhere. I did not have any plan B. I was clueless if I did not get into these services. I did not know what I would be doing. That is there. That is a reality which I can tell you. But for those people who are starting up now, I think it is always good to have a plan B. But that plan B should not deviate you from your actual goal of joining the services. Because sometimes, we become a little relaxed. Ki, Achha, we have this option, so okay, we can be chill. Ye to bas, we're just giving it like that. That should not be the mentality. The mentality that I will clear this exam. But in case it doesn't rule out, and see that if you look at the trend, we see that the intake is also decreasing because of change in the mentality, the governance, how the structure. There's a lot of lateral entrants are also being taken right now. But the point is that we can clear this exam despite all these challenges, and there are so many people who are clearing it. But if you ask me that what is the difference between a person who has cleared the exam and those who might not have been able to perform well in this exam, I would say, is that I think a difference in attitude. You need to be very confident of what you have done so far. See, you have been preparing for so long, and the mentality with which you go in the exam hall is that I have done so much of effort, and if I am finding a particular question difficult, I can assure that many people must be finding the same question difficult. I will try to give, based on whatever experience, whatever knowledge I have garnered in the past, I will try to write the best answer which I can, instead of panicking ki this is something which I have not read, or panicking ki what will happen if I don't clear this exam. Just stop all this and so it's just a difference of attitude. Like, how do you approach the exam during the preliminary exam and also during the mains exam? So I think that is there. And one more thing I would like to include here is that that's why I say serious attempt. Once you have given 1, 2, or perhaps 3 serious attempts, the UPSC syllabus might become a little easy, because you must have been well versed with the foundation part. So this is my personal opinion, okay? So perhaps maybe Hajin Koi can also shine more light on this part. Maybe things might become little easy. The foundation part might become little, because you must have read the syllabus 2-3 times already by now. So you need to now work on only the current affairs wala part. You're little okay with, so that is why your first 2-3 attempts has to be very serious. I think that is how I look at it. Yeah. Acha, social media. Okay, yes. So social media is a boon as well as a bane. Like how I mentioned earlier, YouTube has a lot of informative videos, but at the same time, YouTube also has a lot of videos which can simply waste away your time. And right now, the algorithm, they design it so well that you remain addictive. You just keep on, swiping up and up. The algorithm is so trained to know what your brain likes. So you need to be aware. I store away my mobile devices, my tablet, my laptop, somewhere back in my room. I come to the reading room. I come without any electronic media. I come and read whatever notes, hard copies I have, whatever notes I have prepared, I will read only that. That is one way, so we call it digital detox, perhaps. So I do that. And in that time when I want to, read a particular thing from social or from YouTube, I will bring in my electronic device along with me, and I will try to focus on only that. I'll try to limit my time in spend time on other contents in YouTube. I think that kind of commitment and awareness of the importance of time in this exam, I think that you need to carry along with you. So this is one strategy that I used. And in case during the time wherein I do not have any digital media with me, I can ask a friend nearby. So I used to go to reading rooms where I was preparing in Delhi. So I can just borrow the phone from my neighbor or from my friend. I can just Google up whatever I want to see. But yes, I do this strategy so that I do not waste time in social media.
I'll just add few points. As he said, those who get selected are nothing different from those who don't get selected. There are many eligible and more intelligent people who are not getting selected in this UPSC exam. So as he said, attitude toward this exam is very important. And above that, at every stage of the UPSC demands different thing. So you just have to know what prelim demand from you, what mains demand from you, and what interview demand from you. As simple as that, sometime what we normally do is we try to do a research or a PhD from a particular topic. That's not what UPSC demand. UPSC wants you to have a knowledge of that topic, basic conceptual knowledge, but not a PhD on that topic. So in that way, try to know what the minimum requirement you need to do for UPSC, as UPSC syllabus is vast. Second question with respect to social media, he mentioned about YouTube. YouTube, it really helps to understand some of the important topics. With respect to Facebook, WhatsApp, I'm a person who use WhatsApp during my whole preparation, but people differ. What I normally do is, whenever exam comes near, even though I use WhatsApp, I don't put any status, so that the interaction with people is less. And since whenever we use phone, there's a very high probability that I might open my Facebook or WhatsApp. So whenever I read, I just put my phone aside, and I use my laptop or iPad, whatever, to Google it, so that I'm not diverted on those social media. So that's how I try to minimize my exposure to the social media, even though I directly didn't isolate myself, but I make sure that whenever I study, those social media doesn't come in between. Thank you.
Add one point quickly. So I referred one place where I said that while you make notes, try to make notes as short as possible, because you don't have the luxury of time and space while writing the actual mains exam. I think that is what she also said, like just now. She said, you need not do a PhD on a topic. You just need to know what is the basic issue at hand, and just recollect those points very, very quickly, such that if a similar questions on those topic comes up in the actual exam, you are able to recollect and just write down very quickly. So I just wanted to reinforce this idea here. Yeah.
Hello. Okay, we come to the ending part of the program. Lakhs and lakhs of people is prepared and appear, or let's say, are aspirants, but a few hundreds or like 1,000 succeed the examinations. Let's say they are the serious aspirants. Just like that, hundreds of us come here, but a few hundreds stay behind till the end. This shows the integrity, the determinations, and the commitment. So I really want to give my thanks to all the committee attendees, the resource persons, and the families. All right, and the sounds or whatever, the technical part, helper. I want to convey thanks from our team. And to close this session, I want to call Assistant Professor Dr. Dhoni from the University, Departments of Economics, to take his time. Thank you so much.
Kipamin phatsai theding am ta jevin pathini thangwa ve ai ho thakhial zo si kipaw vesa den ken amani pun kha khanin silping kating. To show our gratitude on behalf of all the participants here, I would like to present soul to our two successful candidates. Not only us, the people of Chuchanpur, but the whole state is rejoicing at their success. And we hope and pray that those who participate in today's event, some of us will be able to come up in the States by next year. And we pray that our two successful candidates also will shine in their career journey, and they will bring more glory and laurel for our state. Thank you very much. And I will give these souls to both of them one by one on our behalf before we pray. Ibonza Kevin Dingute, to say prayer, let's all stand. Tao namang tao te. Pakai kapatin hatsung nung nachate na lungsi din tu ni civil service career chung chang thua workshop ka bol now. Dam sial chale phata chan nei chai savin namin thing ka thangwa ve na hi. Pakai hatsung nung pathin ka so pitew ni lol hinjen ke ho zo se ka ki pavin. Ka gamsu nyong ki pavin namin ka thangwa ve na hi. Tunin ahong ki khomzo se hechingai ding ahong ki khomzo se nang man phathei bo nang kumkit jong le khunung jong le pakai kanam sungwa tunia ka so pinu lo hin na bangai mi tam ta hung lo hin na dingin na pon pi na phathei bo na ka thum ve nahi. Father, we also thank you for our brother and our sister who are successful today. We pray that, Lord, your grace and your mercy will follow them, and they will continue to shine in their journey towards their career, Lord. Bless them and guide them, Father. We thank you for today. We thank you and we praise you. In Jesus' blessed name we pray. Amen.
song ta bon gu tuin asu tong jing theile idinga ki song lel hi ham bol ho zong mi chopa kumu theina dinga amalle ei ni zong ei manding song ta bon gu tuin asu tong jing theile idinga ki song lel hi ham bol ho zong mi chopa kumu theina dinga amalle ei ni zong ei manding San cha, quật trên nơi hi lâu hầm.